welcome to Fresh Face Comics, the comic book podcast where a lifelong comic book reader guides his friend through the world of comics for the first time. My name is Joey Morgan, the aforementioned lifelong reader. With me, as always, is Jacob Licklider, the aforementioned newbie.
Heads speak. The galaxy has heard a mysterious broadcast, a threat of revenge in the sinister voice of the late William Hand. Green Lantern of Hal Jordan dispatches. That's as far as I got in my.
Damn it! No,
I
thought you had a whole thing. Damn it! Okay, all right. that was good. That was good. Anyway, yeah, Blackest Night.
Blackest Night.
We're here. Six
hence the reference to the worst Star Wars film. At me.
Yeah, I mean, anyway. What was I saying? Oh yeah, 6 episodes of Jeff Johns' Green Lantern coverage has finally led us here to the Jeff Johns Green Lantern story. And it's not even technically strictly a Green Lantern story, but today we're talking about Blackest Night, all 9 parts really of the DC Comics event, plus 10 tie-ins. That I actually do have a list of the issue numbers in order here in front of me. I'm actually prepared this time.
You are prepared this time.
I am prepared. It's a rare thing I know. Enjoy it while it lasts. Anyway, getting into this. Jacob, non-spoiler section, here we go. What is Blackest Night about?
A lot, actually. It's a lot.
That's right.
This thing fills an entire Omni, and we're not even covering half of it. We're only covering the relevant Green Lantern stuff. I described on Twitter in my asking for Twitter questions today, this is peak Jeff Johns, and I think this is the most Jeff Johns that has ever Jeff Johns to Jeff Johns.
Do you mean peak Jeff Johns and it's the best Jeff Johns you've read, or just the story that seems the most like his work?
Both, almost. Okay. I think the main 9 issues of Blackest Night is some of the best Jeff Johns we've read. I think the Green Lantern tie-ins, fantastic, get close, but they aren't quite there. Mainly because because there are a couple of in my opinion, there are a couple of points where I feel like we should have maybe had some Green Lantern core tie-ins as well.
That's just the way the Omni was collected. Those weren't Jeff Johns issues, so there's that. But also, we do get some John Stewart stuff in here, though.
Yes, we do, and that is fantastic. It's kind of hoping for a little more Guy and Kyle. And you don't get a whole lot of that.
I mean, for a fact, it definitely happened. It's just not something we're covering today.
Yeah. Yes. And again, for me, approaching any tie-in to a big event is always going to be a bit complicated from my end.
I do think, though, especially the early Green Lantern tie-ins of Blackest Night really enhance the main story. Like, especially the first couple. Like, the first couple, almost feel really essential to the story. Like, you absolutely need them.
It is. I'm glad we're doing the tie-ins because the early issues of Blackest Night are fantastic, but they're also just a lot. A lot. And this is also while this is collected in a Green Lantern Omni, in the way we're both reading it, it is a DC event.
Mm-hmm.
It's
and what I think including the tie-ins does, and I know I described it to you this way, including the tie-ins, because while Hal Jordan appears in almost every issue of the main event, including the tie-ins makes this reading of the story with the tie-ins about Hal Jordan, and it kind of focuses the story in on him, so you do kind of get it mostly from his perspective. And I think that makes the tie-ins really easy to digest, and the story as a whole.
I will say, Johnson's actually does a really good job of, in the main issues, intersecting at where the DC universe is right now. Because this is something the first big event right after Final Crisis published, and
then Blackest Night was immediately followed by another big event.
Another big event of a big weekly event.
If you thought Blackest Night was big, Brightest Day is even bigger.
Oh god, it's gonna be a time.
And Brightest Day is even less a Green Lantern story than Blackest Night. It's good. It's good until the end, but it's a good event.
It's good until the end.
But it's not. But it is not a Green Lantern story. I'll tell you that right now.
This is also like by the end of everything. This is also only a year or so before the New 52 is going to happen. Like,
yeah,
it's
because if we're following it in like Jeff Johns Green Lantern terms, like it's Blackest Night, Brightest Day, War of the Green Lanterns, and then it's New 52 time.
yeah.
To put that really in perspective, like this is the end of the second Omni. Then halfway through the third Omni is when the New 52 happens. So yeah, like
Which
we're
once again
really close to
indicates
it.
the execution of the New 52 was a clusterfuck.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, hey, who could really blame them for just saying to Jeff Johns, do whatever you want, man. You're writing easily the most successful thing we're putting out right now.
Yeah, this is somehow such a success. I don't want to say somehow because Johns, as a writer, knows how to sell an action book. And I may have the controversial statement that Blackest Night isn't a horror event, it's more of an action event. Like,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I'm going to be honest,
All the horror happens in the prologue issue.
yeah.
Like, yeah,
And
that's yeah.
that's about outside of the basic concept of the dead rising, which 2009, we were right in the middle of the early 2000s zombie craze.
Mhm.
So where Johns is more interested in writing action and then trying to wringing as much character drama as he can out of these, out of these characters, which
Yeah.
he does really well, uh, very well. Also, he's like, I want to let some of my favorites shine, um, or mostly better.
And
Uh,
once again, Deadman lies at the center of a big DC Comics event we've read.
the next one,
And
the
the next
next
one,
DC,
especially in Brightest Day, especially,
the next, the next DC event
Brightest Day
we
is a
do,
dead man
Joey.
story. What's up?
The next DC event we do needs to be not have Dead Man. The next
I
big
mean,
event.
Brightest Day is not going to help that. Brightest Day, I would argue, is just a dead man story.
Okay, well, I mean, that's both a good thing and an interesting thing because
You physically can't hate Boston Brand.
no,
It's
you can't.
illegal. It's not allowed. Like it's just yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I will
let's.
also
Oh,
say,
sorry.
I think the I want to give a shout out now before we really get too far into this. Ivan Reese and Doug Mink
Mhm.
are our two main pencilers for this entire thing.
Yep.
Reese does Blackest Night itself. Mank is on Green Lantern.
Yep.
I think, I believe he does most, like, he does a decent chunk of it.
Almost all
Uh,
the tie-ins. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, there's some other guest pencils. I believe, spread here and there. Uh, yeah, Ed Venice gets some pencils, as does Marcos Mars, and then a whole bunch of inkers because this is a big event. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
eh,
Um.
yeah,
Yeah.
they all do a good job to make it work, especially in the action character drama framework. Uh, Especially since this is also an event where it does seem to rely a little bit on some foreknowledge of other events, other
Uh.
recent events.
I would.
Uh,
I don't know. I don't think personally Final Crisis is all that necessary. If that's
I
what
was
you're
actually
referring
going to
to.
say Identity Crisis is a bit is a bit
Here's the thing. All the knowledge you need going into Blackest Night is there are a lot of DC characters that are dead right now,
yes,
and
and they do just a great job of getting you.
and maybe Barry Allen has just recently been resurrected, and that's it.
Yes, uh,
But even then, they catch you up on that like in the first few pages. So
yeah, and they do a great job of that.
they do.
And
Yeah.
again, it does a great job. Like this is, yeah, I think at least the event is probably my favorite Jeff Johns thing we've read.
Yeah,
Um,
it's pretty great.
uh,
But on that, let's get into some Twitter questions. Actually, starting off on Discord from our friend Mason. One dumb question, but do the logos all have specific meanings, like not just the colors, but the design itself? Probably. I
I
don't
think
know.
they're vaguely supposed to like reflect the core ideals out,
Yeah. I
outside
think
of
so.
I.
Some of them are easy to put together than others. Like I think you can kind of put together how the Black Lantern one kind of works, like but like some of them are a little harder to decipher, I think.
I mean,
Um,
obviously, like the Green Lantern, and I'd probably argue the Star Sapphire ones. Those are
yeah.
just taking imagery from comics from the Silver Age, so they're not like actively trying to. Johns is retconning a bunch of stuff with the whole emotional spectrum,
Mhm.
so
Um,
he's not giving everything the most interesting meaning that he could.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Mason's second question, though, is which lantern color would you be least equipped to handle? I also want to point out that Mason spelled color with a U here, and he's a Yank, so I'm just calling him out on that. Anyway,
Mason,
we, I think almost every Green Lantern episode we've done, we've gotten questions as to which lantern we'd be, but this is at least. Oh man,
for me, yellow or red.
um, probably yellow for me.
Yeah.
Red I could
Um,
do just fine. Nah, probably yellow. Probably yellow. Um, oddly enough, I think the easiest ring to handle in general is probably the black one. You don't gotta really do anything.
you just gotta be dead.
You just gotta be dead. His third question is why is Superman on the cover? Is he evil now or something? Pretty much. I mean, you could say that. You could say that, I
You
suppose.
could say that
Um,
briefly.
yeah, I do love. Yeah, without getting into spoilers, that the way they handle that in particular is great. Um, I love that, and also again, looking at the trade cover because that's what I posted for the Q&A. I'm surprised how many of the Black Lanterns they spoil on the cover here. But I guess if you're not looking at it too closely, you're not really paying attention to it. But anyway, his fourth question is we're answering this, right? We have to. Let's get political. Which ring would you give the current president of the United States? I think every president of the United States should get yellow.
I would actually maybe go with orange.
No, no, no. I think yellow.
I mean, but orange would reflect the capitalist society that we live in, and
Yeah,
the
but I think if we're taking the rings literally as they're presented in comics, I don't think it's I guess it's tough to put into words, but like I don't think that would literally apply to the current president or any president really. Um, not strictly in the way it's portrayed in the comic though. I don't. But also considering who the other wielder of an orange ring is in this comic,
I was
eh,
gonna say, like,
yeah, there's a valid point there. There's a valid point there.
yes.
Okay, orange or yellow. Um, his last question, or alternative to question four, if we didn't want to get political, but we wanted to, of course. How many comic storylines does this event end? And do you think both? Do you both think that they were ended well? I don't know exactly how many. I'm sure a lot. But also a lot of Blackest Night is setting up what Brightest Day is about because Brightest Day was sort of like establishing sort of a new status quo for a lot of heroes in the DC universe. Um, so it's not really ending a lot of plot lines. It does contribute to a number, obviously, namely Green Lantern, what they were up to at the time.
It shifts to what it doesn't just shift to what Batman is doing at the time, ever
Yeah,
so slightly.
Batman was very slightly, but Batman kind of stayed exclusively within the Morrison stuff.
Yes.
And then
Uh,
I would say the story is also very relevant to Johns' Flash run at the time, bouncing directly off of Rebirth. Um,
well, right, because
Johns had a very
John's
brief. He had a very brief Barry Allen Flash run. Yeah, that was almost exclusively tie-ins to other things. It was
yeah,
Flash.
because didn't it like start? It wasn't issue one a Brightest Day tie-in.
I think so. It was yeah, because it was Flash Rebirth. Then Blackest Night happened. Then there were some regular issues and then I think it was Brightest Day. And then it was the build up to Flashpoint, and then Flashpoint happened, and and that was that. So
It's the terrible.
it's weird.
It's once again, once again, the new 52 fucks everybody over,
Yeah, just a little bit, except for Jeff Johns.
except for Jeff Johns and Scott Snyder.
Yeah. But of course, it is also a Green Lantern episode, so we have submissions of
Oh, Jesus fucking
the
Christ.
image of the pterodactyls standing around a Green Lantern from the Doctor Who 1981 hit The Visitation. We have submissions from, of course, Kian at Kian the Quark, Jamie at Jamie _ season 7. And then we have English Giraffe at English _ Giraffe. Then we have some different submissions from Kian with a monochrome image of that same image. It says Black Lantern. And then Jamie submitted another one mostly whited out. That says White Lantern. To which Kian replied, "It's clearly still green." And JV said, "That's why I was asking, because there's a little question mark after the White Lantern." It's getting to be too much, and I love it.
You know what? No, I will say this. Ian actually made bit work by switching it up after a while. Like,
yeah, you know what? Yeah. Although, to be fair, that was in response to you specifically asking, "Stop spamming the pterodactyl image." So...
Stop spamming that goddamn. Here's the thing. When I watch The Visitation next, I'm only going to be thinking of Green Lantern, which is, I mean, I don't know. The Visitation is decent,
You know what I'm
but
sad about, though, is the fact that we'll probably never get another submission from our friend Lord Slar, because he was the guy that started that joke originally. And
yeah.
whenever somebody submits it, I can always hear it in his voice. Like, "Is this Green Lantern?" Just
Oh yes.
like every time. Anyway, then we also had kind of the same question from two different people. From Rose Panda at Joey Can Read This. Woohoo! Awesome event to cover. So, as horror monsters, do you prefer the Black Lanterns or the Marvel Zombies? And then English Giraffe also submitted better zombie event, Blackest Lanterns and Marvel Zombies. I'll say I haven't read Marvel Zombies, so I can't really comment on that. I have seen like the Marvel What If episode of Marvel Zombies. So if it's anything like that, I think I personally prefer Blackest Night myself. And as far as the portrayals of the zombies themselves, I mean, I love zombies with personalities. I'm an Evil Dead guy. So yeah, zombies that make jokes and still act like the characters they are resurrected of. Yeah, I love my Black Lanterns so much.
I'll also say it's still fascinating because, again, despite everything, Blackest Night isn't a horror event. Like, whereas I know Marvel Zombies actively is.
Mhm.
Uh, I would argue it's almost comparing apples and oranges. Obviously, I have not read Marvel Zombies. I have also not seen What If, so I can't contribute. But again, what's just really interesting about Blackest Night is that this isn't a horror event. Like, there is some grotesque stuff in it, but like it's not all that horrific. Um, it's more just dramatic tragedies.
Yeah, yeah. It's still great though. I mean, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, our friend Marcus Cotton at Sir Jedi Sentinel submitted the opening of the Lord of the Rings, or the myth of the Lord of the Rings, the 3 rings for the Elven Kings under the sky. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but thank you, Marcus. And also,
However, I
I'm not.
I was just wondering. This made me think of. Do you think Jeff Johns is a Lord of the Rings fan?
Oh, probably. And also, I realized reading through this again today that it kind of reminds me of a Green Lantern oath.
You're you're not wrong.
Just the cadence of it, you know.
The cadence, yeah. I mean, the influence of J.R.R. Tolkien is,
On everything ever
yeah,
is yeah, kind of apparent. And
is what mainly because what influenced him was a lot of myth, and then
mhm.
he's Tolkien. I don't know what else you can expect.
Yeah. Let's see. Then we have. I'm trying to think which one I want to save for last. We'll do Jamie first. Jamie at Jamie _ season 7 says, "What's the meaning of life?" Which is a more relevant question than one might think to this. I don't know. I suppose it's a white ring combining the entire emotional spectrum.
If you're in the DC universe, if you're in our
Yeah,
universe, life is of life.
life is what you make of it.
Life needs things to live.
Life needs things to live. Yes. And then our final set of questions, and actually, I really love these questions. Actually, unfortunately, they are kind of spoilery. Kian says 2 questions; they both might be spoilery. So we'll be as non-spoiler as possible. But first, who has the best Black Lantern design? That's a tough question. I think I'm partial to Martian Manhunter myself.
Yeah.
I do also love the Aquaman one.
I was gonna maybe say Aquaman. The trouble is, there's also just a lot of
Yeah.
some
You know
Black
what though? No,
Lanterns.
I lie. I lie. Firestorm is metal as fuck. Or should I say Deathstorm? I love
You can't
Deathstorm,
be
man.
biased.
He's not Firestorm, he's Deathstorm. I love it. Yeah, I do
Ooh,
love
I also love
Firestorm.
the Spectre's Black Lantern.
Oh, yeah, that's cool as hell. Yeah. Anyway, and Keen's second question, and our last question for today. Who of the characters to gain non-Black Lantern rings for this story should have kept theirs? Now, that is a hard question to answer, while still being non-spoilery. I think we could
I
say
will.
what ring
Yeah,
they get. Personally, I love the Blue Lantern ring wielder in this.
I was also gonna say blue.
Especially because it's a character that at the time of the story could have really used a new direction for their story, and I would have loved to have seen what Johns could have done with that character if
Yeah,
they kept the blue ring.
I kind of agree with that wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Could
it's
you
also a
imagine?
character.
Could you imagine the event that launched the New 52 with that in mind?
Oh, I mean, that would be fascinating. It would also, I think, that would also do a big change to how the New 52 was established, and would
Oh,
allow a
totally.
it would allow some other characters not to no longer exist.
Yeah, but I love the blue ring wielder.
I was also going to say orange would be a fun one to
Orange would be
see.
interesting, but unsustainable. I think that would have to get retconned almost immediately.
Eh,
But I
yeah,
also think there are a few villains that get other rings in this. The yellow ring wielder, I would love to see in a story with their respective hero before they had gotten
yes.
rid of their ring. I would have loved to have seen that. But
Um,
whatever. Uh,
I'd also think the our violet ring user is
that would have been cool to see
fitting
more of.
fitting. But I'm not sure who was writing that book at the time, so I feel like that might actually depend on who's writing
Who's
that
writing? Yeah,
character's
yeah.
book. Um,
Mhm. Yeah, I'm also a fan of the oddball choice for the red ring. I think that's great. Um, and then who
I
am I
think that one
saying?
only works in the very specific circumstance of these issues, though.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah. Considering what that person is fighting for, yeah.
yeah,
And then compassion. That's another great choice, but not one that I could see going a ton of places. But um,
that one
anyway,
that one felt the most random to me. Actually,
I
was
think it was just because
superhero.
that character was relevant to the main event, so they're
Oh
like
yeah,
they've got to get some kind of ring,
we needed a seven. We
Yeah.
needed a seven, and also most superheroes are compassionate.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hard to be like, you deserve this ring more than anyone else. No, you're just an alive superhero right now. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, yeah. Um, anyway, let's get talking about
It's
said
also such a
superheroes, though.
dumb twist when we get to it, but I love it. Like
Oh, what? Oh,
that,
what the
that whole thing. It's so dumb, but like gloriously so.
what? All the characters that were previously dead? That whole
No,
thing,
no, no.
or
The characters getting different color rings.
oh yeah,
Um,
it's great though. Come on, it's
yeah,
awesome.
no. I said it's gloriously dumb. There's a difference.
But let's get talking about said superheroes and villains, and let's get into our full-on spoiler section. So, if you're not joining us for spoilers, be sure to skip to the end of the episode if you want to find out what we're covering next time. We have a new reveal coming up, something that I have a bit of a twist to throw on Jacob when we're revealing the next episode. So, stick around for that. This is the first he's hearing of that. So.
Wait, well, I was
uh,
like, wait, motherfucker, what are you
we
twisting?
have a bit of a twist with our episode reveal next at the end here, so you'll see. So be sure to join us for that. Just stick around to the end if you're listening to spoilers. Otherwise, socials, link trees, those things in the description below. You can check those out. And thanks for listening, I guess. But if you are still
Yeah,
sticking
yeah.
around, welcome to spoilers. So the Omni for Blackest Night opens on a segment of Tales of the Core, which we won't be covering in depth.
What I want to know is why the hell did they wrap around Tales of the Core?
Yeah, I am not sure. Maybe it's because of the way it opens with the Guardian with the black book.
Maybe,
That's probably it.
or maybe because it's also to try to give you a little bit on what John Stewart's doing, and
Maybe.
establishing Carol Ferris as a Star Sapphire
But then
again.
also they include the Larfleeze one here, and then Like that feels kind of random. Like the one for Glomulus, like
It is weird.
it's really
Um,
weird.
it's
But I mean, hey,
weird.
whatever. I mean, I know you read the Tales of the Core at the end as well. They include the whole mini here, which is great. I think that the stories they include at the end are fantastic. I love most of those, but it's just kind of there. But again, we're not covering it in depth because it's not part of the trades we're actually covering. What we're actually starting on here is Green Lantern number 43 with a glorious cover of
Yeah.
Black Hand
Uh,
around the grave of one Bruce Wayne. So this is
Wearing a
our actual
glowing
prologue.
ring. Yeah, this is the first prologue because
I
there's
remember you messaged me specifically after you read this issue that you were kind of disturbed after this one. Um,
yeah.
it rightfully so, I think. I
So
mean,
this
the
is
second page alone. I mean, my God.
yeah. So okay, we have to. Johns is clearly anticipating a bunch of people jumping on at this point because this is big event
hmm
central, like
Yeah, but for those
big.
that were reading the whole run up to this point, you're well aware of who William Hand is. But even then, I think this issue kind of throws some extra context in there that just kind of makes it all
Well,
the more disturbing.
because a lot of this is William Hand's backstory from the
And his
perspective of William Hand, as he
yeah,
is quite literally enjoying himself in a grave that is, well, it's possibly the Wayne family graves. Very
oh
possibly.
maybe. I see. I can always take that to be his family
That could be. Oh, that also would make sense.
because
Either
that's
way,
because there are four skeletons there, and I think that's no wait. Oh yeah. He has there are four people at this dinner table. So yeah, yep. That's that would be them. So yeah. Anyway, he's in a grave with his family. it's it's disturbing. Obviously. But we also we start to like go back in time. We establish William's initial fascination with death from a very young age. His father was a mortician, and he would like look at dead bodies and say they're pretty, and like it's fucked up.
there was a lot of
It's really fucked up.
so the movie Psycho.
Yes, I'm well aware of the movie Psycho.
This is like the Bates home, full of taxidermy and death, and I feel like that's an intentional reference.
There's actually an even more psycho like scene because it in because we won't really see William Hand much more after this until Johns does another arc with Black Hand in like the middle of his New 52 Green Lantern stuff. There's a
Does he
particularly
really?
he does, and it's really good. It's mostly about the Indigo tribe. It's really really good. But there's another very psycho like scene in that that I really really love. So anyway, moving on. We get still more of William Hand's backstory. We see how we see his perspective of Secret Origin, as we've seen before. His the attack of Atrocitus and his acquiring of his suggestive looking weapon after Hal and Sinestro saved him. If you want more on that, we did an episode on Secret Origin. It was great.
Great.
Had Mason on it. It was awesome. Besides the point, we see William Hand like making his Black Hand costume, him becoming a full-on supervillain. We see some of his encounters with Hal over the years, and the rest of the Green Lantern Corps. We chronicle Hal's time as Parallax, and then the eventual cutting off of William Hand's hand and the Spectre. It's great. It's really really great. But we then see various like deaths that we're going to be focusing in on a lot, obviously, from the
So
DC
many
universe.
deaths. Like
So many
this
deaths.
is this was the era of DC where they were trying to get really dark and edgy, right? Like
I
they were
mean,
just
yeah, I suppose.
they were
Yeah.
just killing off a lot of people.
Oh man,
Um,
I forgot this one was called out here. The Maxwell Lord one, which always makes me think of Grace Randolph.
I think I know what you're referencing.
Basically, it was the moment like back in 2013 when I realized Grace Randolph was full of shit. Um, she her in her Man of Steel review, she was mad at the Superman killing Zod scene because it took away from Wonder Woman for some reason. I guess
What?
I guess the only connection really being that a villain got their neck snapped. But like General Zod is not Maxwell Lord and Superman is not Wonder Woman, nor are either of those characters in that movie. Like,
Also, I don't think people like Wonder Woman snapping the neck of Maxwell Lord.
yeah, like, I don't know, man.
Anyway,
They've
yeah.
always ruined it.
Also, there's a lot of dead people.
Yeah, a lot of
Like
dead.
there are we see 16 individual deaths across this page, but then like in the panel to the side, there's just like even more.
Yep. And then actually it continues on the page after because they describe past deaths and characters that have come back from death, like Barry Allen and Clark Kent, of course. And we see them, and now they're here still. It's a lot. There have been a lot of dead DC characters, obviously, and so
Yeah. So William Hand calmly walks back into his childhood home, kills his siblings, kills his father
and his
because of
mother,
what he does, and his
mhm,
mother
and then he kills himself.
himself. And we
It's
see
first
his head
off,
explode.
it's very graphic. First
Oh
off,
my god, it is
it
so
is
graphic.
it is really fucking graphic. Doug Mank draws this, does a phenomenal job. I love Doug Mank. But yeah, it's really graphic for a comic, a general audience comic, really. And yeah, then we are met by our guardian here that has been infected with the Black Lantern, and they literally spew up, like throw up a Black Lantern ring, which returns William Hand to life. First off, there's it's worth noting that every ring in the different cores of Green Lanterns, Red Lanterns, whatever, have like a phrase that they give to their respective wielders when they're attaching themselves. It's like, Hal Jordan of Earth, you have the ability to overcome great fear. Yeah, you have great rage in your heart. You have the ability to instill great fear. But I love the Black Lantern one, William Hand of Earth, rise.
And
It's so
that's
simple, and it immediately sets the tone for what this is doing, and it sets that just that little reminder in your mind, like what that means. And they do that a lot more throughout this as various Black Lanterns get created throughout this event. It's so good. Yeah, just gorgeous stuff. But oh yeah, and then we have probably the most horrifying single page in this whole issue, which is the newly resurrected William Hand. I hate that. It's so good. It's so creepy. Yeah, love it. Anyway,
yeah.
um, it's a lot. It's a lot. But yeah, then we catch up with Hal Jordan and John Stewart, who are investigating some other deaths.
Mainly some some inmates with are being transferred and they are attacked. And then there's some sort of a power surge and inability to analyze whatever's going on. And far across the universe, we set the stage for the Blackest Night.
Yep,
Uh,
we see all of our different lantern cores, as well as the new one, the Indigo tribe here gets included, as Black Hand seeks out the Black Lantern himself, and that is where the issue ends, taking us into Blackest Night number 0.
Zero, which is a
It's a short issue.
little short issue. This was the free comic book day issue,
Hmm.
I believe. Uh, so short, yay for free comic book day. It's one where we're going to start the story, but also like it's like we can't really start the story because it's in issue 0. Um,
I mean, it still does a lot for this
there's a
short
lot.
little
I think
free comic book day issue.
what it does for me the best is this entire sequence between Hal Jordan and Barry Allen.
It's so good. Yeah, because again, as I mentioned in the non-spoiler section, Barry Allen is recently resurrected. Flash Rebirth just happened, and yeah, we're just kind of like leveling between Hal and Barry, like
Yeah.
all the things
Also
that.
getting people up to speed that it's like, hey, Barry's back.
Mhm.
Batman's fucking dead.
Yeah, Barry's back,
Um,
which again is a massive thing because that had not been the status quo for almost 30 years at that point. No, what? No, almost 30 years at that point. Yeah, one, two, over 20 years. I can
over
math.
nearly 25 years.
Yeah, I can math.
Um, can
um,
you?
I
Can
can I
you
can
though?
I can math sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
But
but yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's a great conversation. It's just
and
Barry
it's I think
Barry
it's
missed a
I
lot.
think I think the one moment in it that sticks out, one of the moments that stick out to me is uh is this moment where Hal's like they need to distance Batman's death with Bruce Wayne's. They haven't publicly proclaimed him dead, and Robin's insisting that Bruce isn't really gone, and Barry responds, "He's holding on to hope that that's what Dick always gave Batman."
It's so good. Oh, I
And
love it.
I mean, it's so good because Hal's talking about Tim,
Mhm.
and obviously Barry would never have met Tim. Would have
Yeah,
maybe met Jason. Um,
maybe just would have just barely known him. Yeah.
but
Um.
that Jason also would have been pre-crisis Jason Todd, who
Yeah.
is kind of a Dick Grayson clone.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, it's just it's a really sad moment. That just like, and I love the way that Reese draws Barry in that moment. He's just like, right, like Tim Drake, right? There's just so much that he's missed, and he's really feeling that in that moment. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. But of course, where this is leading up to is the eventual beginnings of the Risings. Because yeah, we're talking about other characters that are dead at the time. We're talking
a
about
couple of a
Aquaman.
couple of the big ones. Obviously, Bruce, but also Aquaman.
Martian
Um,
Manhunter is a big one they talk about. Um, and yeah, and as all this is happening, um, we get first off this sort of a Black Lantern oath, which doesn't really get repeated much after this at all because it's way more effective to just say person rise. And that's way more iconic. It's awesome.
but yeah,
Um,
we're the other characters we're establishing of dead who are going to be important are uh, Ralph and Sue Dibney,
yep.
uh,
Ronnie
and
Raymond.
then Ronnie Raymond.
Big one. We do also get a panel here specifically of the Atom, Hawkman, and Hawkgirl, who we're going to focus on a lot going forward. And yeah, as Black Hand holds a skull in his hand, the zero issue ends and taking us into Blackest Night #1, which is really the issue that kicks all this off. So
With
let's.
the metal cover of all these rings coming out of a skull.
Oh, it's so good. It's so over the top. I think that's what I really love about it. Is just like it's the imagery could be horrific, but it's so ridiculous that I think it goes beyond horrific.
I mean,
uh,
this was also kind of around the point where the Comics Code was like well and truly actually dead.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I feel like some of it is like, hmm, can we actually get away with this, or are they gonna try to reinstate the Comics Code Authority?
Mhm. But I mean, hey, when an event is as successful as this, you can't really argue with it. So yeah, let's get into this. So got Black Hand, still with his skull. Did they say whose skull this is? I forget.
Yeah, they do. It's on the first page. Well, they say you see whose grave it is. You see whose
That, oh
grave it
yep, oh
is.
yeah, that's right. Yep, it is Brucey's. Yep. Okay.
It's Bruce Wayne's skull, which uh, that feels so wrong. Like
I
it
also
just
can't wait to
feels.
eventually talk about Final Crisis and the Return of Bruce Wayne because there are so many weird little inconsistencies between the way Johns portrays the death and Morrison portrays the death and resurrection. Um, it's really interesting. What they do work together in their own weird comic book way, but it's it's
But I
it's
mean,
really
Grant
interesting.
Morrison is a mad motherfucker. I say
Yeah,
that
yeah,
with love. They are amazing.
yeah,
Oh, they
exactly.
are mad.
Yeah, but
Um,
yeah. Anyway, but yeah, the rings are unleashed. The rings come out from this Black Lantern as
and they all
William
sound of
licks
flesh.
from
They
William
all
as William licks the skull of Bruce Wayne. It's anyway,
that's some D and that's some edgy D&D character energy
it's
right
so good.
there.
It's so good.
Um,
But then we get a really uplifting scene for this point of the comic.
a really interesting idea. So, Death of Superman, big event. We read it way back in episodes 6 through 10 of the
6 through 10.
podcast. Go
Yep.
check them out.
Yeah.
Um, I
Which
love
we ended up talking about a lot more than as we started the Jeff Johns Green Lantern run because it's surprisingly relevant.
it. That's when Johns loves a comic, he's going to bring it up whenever he has the chance.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I love this idea that on the day that Superman died in the DC universe, it's now a day for mourning
Any superhero
basically
that
any
is,
superhero who is dead.
yeah. Really great idea. Really, really lovely idea. We see,
It's one of the things that also, it helps establish in fiction like this, in fantasy stories that are largely set in modern times, things like comics, urban fantasy, uh, Doctor Who, there's a tendency to try to create way too much of a obvious status quo. And one thing I really like about the DC universe is that it allows the status quo base because of the medium of comics and because of just the nature of superheroes. That status quo by nature is going to drift from trying to completely match our real world. And I really like ideas like this where it's like, oh, some thought has gone into what will the world be like with superheroes.
like what is a significant event that's big enough to to make a holiday out of, pretty much. What is your International Day of Superhero Mourning? It's the day that Superman died. And I love especially that we're focusing on Coast City here, because as not long after Superman died, Coast City was fucking destroyed. As Superman was coming back, it's part of the whole event. It's a big deal. So yeah, we focus on Coast City here and Coast City's sort of resilience in the face of all that, and how much this day means to them. It's really, really cool. Love seeing that. Absolutely love seeing that. But as
I
this
was
all
also
happened,
reflecting on his fellow human Green Lanterns.
yep.
Um,
Um,
because they're doing a flyby for this this celebration of mourning, um, and we get another page of some deaths.
Yep. The Hal first focusing on deaths in his own personal life, his father, Abbott and Sir, Coast City we see. Then we focus on the deaths that are significant to the other Human Lanterns. We see Katmatui. We see Kyle Rayner's girlfriend Alex in a fridge. We see Kyle's.
I think that portrayal is somehow even darker than the actual panel it's based on.
Yeah.
Like,
And then also putting these two panels back to back, the next panel being the death of Jade, who is both Alan Scott's daughter and Kyle's second girlfriend.
um,
What a
hey
guy.
Kyle, maybe you shouldn't get into relationships
Just don't do it. Just don't do
or
it.
have them pre-approved by Gail Simone first.
Yes. um, yeah, and then also we reflect on the fact that Kyle is kind of Guy is like kind of the only guy that hasn't really faced horrible misery in his personal life because
Yeah, because
he's Guy Gardner.
Ice died, but she's back and definitely in love with him.
And
Um,
my absolute favorite bit of narration from Hal here is, none of us thought we'd ever be envious of Guy Gardner.
but here we are.
It's so good. But yeah, as we focus on that, we shift over to Smallville, where we see Clark, Ma Kent, Connor. Uh, I think they're specifically, the grave of Jonathan Kent, of course.
Yeah, because Jonathan is dead. We
Mhm.
go
Which
to
actually is
Pittsburgh.
which is another Jeff Johns thing that we should totally read someday, and it's fantastic. Um,
Really?
yeah, it's a really good story. Yeah. Anyway, then we go to Pittsburgh. It's Martin Stein at the grave of Ronnie Raymond. I think also Jason and I forgot what the
Jen.
girl. Jen. That's it. All Firestorm centric, of course.
Did
Uh,
Firestorm have a book at this time? Do you
I
know?
You know what? Probably. I think. for a long time after I think it was John Ostrander was on the book. I think after that, like he was kind of the guy that said like, "Hey, Firestorm is a character with a lot of longevity. Fucking do things with it." And
So Ostrander, things with it.
yep. So yeah. Then we see
Well, and there's also this interesting idea of, it's raining. This very weird contradiction of it's raining, but all the flowers on the graves are dying, which is meant to be our indicator that things are
something's not right.
happening. Something's not right.
Yeah.
We see the current Teen Titans.
Uh, yep. We see the Rogues at their own sort of like hidden graveyard, which I really love. Because Captain Boomerang has died.
The JLI, even if the JLI wasn't there, because Ted Cord is dead.
Yep. And yeah, we go back to Coast City once again. All the lanterns are there. Really nice to see them. And yeah, we cut over then. Oh, yeah, actually, there's one more after that. At Amnesty Bay, where Garth and Mara are mourning the death of Arthur Curry. And for some reason, I don't know. I've never read the story where Arthur dies. I'm not exactly sure what happens in. But yeah, it's just it's really sad. It's just really really sad. Oh god, it hurts. But then let's see. And then Gotham City, where Alfred is going to deliver the
deliver a wreath to
deliver a wreath to Bruce Wayne and the family, and sees that the Wayne family graves have been fucked with. Something is not right.
We also find out that in the Hall of Justice, the Justice League has kept some of the bodies of some of their villains.
Which Barry first off is kind of disturbed by.
I mean, it's both a disturbing idea, but it makes so much sense, especially with this context of there's a Nightwing story of Nightwing discovering a body snatching operation to use these parts.
Probably a Titan story actually. Well,
would Titans have been under Tim Drake at the time?
Maybe.
I think Titans would have been under Tim Drake at the time, and
I
Nick
think
would
you're right.
be in Nightwing.
Yeah. But yeah, then and then one of my favorite like little like 2-page spreads here is just how really showing Barry the magnitude of how many have been lost in recent years with this construct that he makes, showing like Batman, Aquaman, Firestorm, just so many that it really makes you take it in, and it's great. It's just a really really great moment. I love it.
And it lets it breathe. Before we then, we have to actually get some plot stuff going.
Yeah. Really, like I think what those early pages are doing. I think that's most of the issue. Actually, I shouldn't say early pages. Is it's really just establishing like the tone of the DC universe right now. Like everyone's kind of in mourning, and it's only going to get worse. So.
Let's hope that this is a double length issue. This first one,
it's a big boy. So
like all the Blackest Night issues, bar issue 0, are extended issues. But this one I think is the longest, at least in terms of page count. Probably in terms of dialogue, because I will say, as this event goes on, because Jeff Johns is writing so much, there are some points where Johns is like doing some action here, so I don't have to write so much dialogue.
Oh yeah, very clearly. Yeah. Then we catch up with Hawkman and Hawkgirl, which I forget. Have we read anything really where they're kind of like central to any comic?
Not central.
I know we've had like small appearances.
You know who else we really haven't had anything who's kind of a bigger player in this one? Ray Palmer. Like,
yeah, that's true.
We've had the Atom in the New 52. And
your favorite character.
There was actual potential there.
There was.
I am so mad, Jed. Yeah. Ironically enough, Jeff Johns.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So actually, I guess that also makes me glad that I had you watch Justice League the Animated Series, because yeah, there's a lot of them there. Or at least Hawkgirl, really. But Yeah, so we see them. They are yeah. We see them.
They are
They
discussing. So, okay, there's a book called Identity Crisis,
Mhm.
and all I know is that by the end of Identity Crisis, the elongated man and his wife are dead, and they were murdered by someone called Jean Loring. Um, and Jean is also dead, and Ray loved Jean and wants to visit the grave for drama. Um, and the entire our Hawkman and Hawkwoman conflict here is yes, Ray needs closure, but also you're giving a psychopath what they potentially want.
yeah
Uh,
yeah. But then, let's see, after another brief scene between Barry and Hal, where actually Hal tells Barry what Carol's kind of been up to. She's full on Star Sapphire right now, kicking ass out in space. It's great. But then,
Specifically against the Sinestro Corps.
mhm.
Uh,
But we then see the Guardians finally. Took them long enough.
well, first we also get a quick. Alfred lets Hal and Barry know what the fuck happened to Bruce's grave.
Mhm.
Um, and somewhere Dick Grayson is doing a big "I was right" dance. I'd like to imagine. Um,
Because wouldn't he just? Um, but yeah, we then catch up with the Guardians, who are aware of what's happening, and Guardians being Guardians,
surprise,
they're not
surprise!
doing anything.
Their machinations to maybe stop any rise of all the cores led to the rise of all the cores, and all the cores have risen. That means they're going to start fighting. That means the whole prophecy of the Blackest Night that has been interlaced through the Jeff Johns run of Green Lantern since the beginning, it's going to come true. Basically, my point is the Guardians are idiots, and nobody should listen to them.
It's only at this point where they turn to their fellow Guardian that's kind of all fucked up in the face for that's been fucked up in the face for a while. They're like, "Hey, what do you think?" And they're like, "You know what I think? Death." And they take a big old bite out of another Guardian, and it's glorious. This is when the story like absolutely kicks into high gear, gets insane, pulls
You know,
a what's up?
if it were any other writer, I would perhaps, if it were any other writer and any other group of characters, I would question, hey, why don't you question the fact that one of your number now has a completely fucked up face and is acting really distant? It's the Guardians, and they are idiots.
Yeah, Johns has done a perfect job of characterizing them to the point where like they wouldn't really think anything of that. Like obviously, I love that. But yeah, we then see a
Black
bunch of the
rings
yes
begin to
Black Ring.
descend.
Yep. Surrounding other Green Lanterns throughout the universe. We then get I don't love these pages, but I do get what they're doing. It's just of showing like the chaos throughout the universe of like all those really thin, tall panels like right in a row. Yeah, we see like where some of the Black Rings are getting. We see John Jones of Mars, Katmatui of Korrigar, Roddy Raymond of Earth, D. Tyler of Earth, Ryan Kendall of Earth, Roy Lincoln of Earth, Al Pratt of Earth, Jenny Lynn Hayden of Earth. It's everyone. It's pretty much every single important DC character and not important DC character that has ever died.
I mean,
And
yeah, because Captain Boomerang, who, let's be honest, isn't that important of a character,
you
at least at this
asked.
point. Hey, he's great. He's so much fun to read in Suicide Squad, but he's not that important of a character.
I still detest your statement. Then we get this absolutely gorgeous two-page spread of all these zombies risen with the big word "rise" in the middle there, and then behind Hal and Barry is the newly resurrected John Jones, the Martian Manhunter himself, and we then see Hawkman and Hawkgirl being. Uh, let's see, are they actually being attacked at this point? I forget. Wait,
Aren't being attacked.
hang
What's
on, wait. I'm
happening
going.
here is they are
Wait.
being stalked after a couple of pages,
Oh, that's right.
and
It's
because Johns is subtly including the whole idea of the Black Lanterns feeding off the other lights of the emotional spectrum. Um,
mhm.
all like it feels Carter's rage and Kendra's love, and surprise, it's elongated man
And his wife.
and his wife.
and yeah, they come back as zombies. They're attacking Hawkman and Hawkgirl,
They
and
seem to know exactly what to say to stab people in the heart.
mhm. It's interesting because Johns doesn't really like super go into, and I think this works to the story's benefit. It doesn't like super go into how much of the person that died is still in there.
It's implied to be less than. It's implied to be sort of it's feeding off the like memories and brain function and not actually is the person.
Mhm.
Uh, is
Just
the
saying,
implication.
yeah, knowing everything pretty much that this person went through, but not being that person still.
Oddly enough,
Um,
almost Evil Dead rules.
Yeah, yeah,
Almost
yeah,
Evil Dead
yeah,
rules.
yep, exactly, exactly. And again, they have personalities. Like the first thing that Ralph and Sue say, like Ralph goes, "Hey Sue, I smell a mystery," and then they attack, and it's just like it's great. They have corny one-liners. I love it. Again, can't wait till we get to talk about Deathstorm. I love Deathstorm. But yeah, the Hawks are attacked. They are defeated by our Black Lanterns, and then Black Hand joins them and says,
Makes
"Carter
them
Oliver."
rise.
Yep. Yeah. Carter and Kendra rise, and that is the end of the issue. Taking us into Green Lantern number 44. So this is where I think the first time that this event starts to slow down a little bit. Um,
Yes.
and again, I think that's the wonderful thing about reading these tie-ins in addition to the main story is like focusing on specific characters really does allow you to take in the scope of the story. And also, I adore the opening scene of this issue.
With an Oreo, sorry, Choco
The
on
Chaco,
Mars.
yep, laid on top of Martian Manhunter's grave.
You know what? You know what? Nabisco should just make one trademark exception, just to allow DC to use Oreos.
Yeah,
Like,
but I feel like then because of that though, Choco as a name has become kind of synonymous with the cookies that Martian Manhunter likes. So to change that now would be, I think people would find that weird. Um, But anyway, his grave is of course disturbed by a black ring. Martian Manhunter
again,
rises.
done with once again. So again, Doug Mank, master of action and setting the atmosphere, because it's it's not narrated. It's all done visually with a little bit of onomatopoeia and basically a here is our location.
Mhm.
Uh, until we get John Jones of Mars rise, and he bursts to Earth, uh, where we get kind of a little bit, just a little bit of rewinding, just to.
Well, yeah, to see specifically what Hal and Barry were doing and talking about right before Jean showed up. But also, we see from the Black Lantern's perspective, sort of scanning and analyzing what part of the emotional spectrum each of the people that they're up against embodies. So we see for Hal Will, and we see for Barry Hope. And then one thing that I actually really love about the Jean Jones Black Lantern in particular is that he still has the powers of the Martian Manhunter, so he's able to like still shapeshift into the regular looking Martian Manhunter for that brief moment. It's a really cool idea. I don't think it gets enough attention, but it's really really cool. So yeah, fight breaks out between them. As all that is happening, I think actually the fight is pretty much the rest of the issue. Now that I think about it,
Yeah,
um,
it's a good fight. Um, a lot of it comes out to the fact that this was coming out in between Blackest Night #1 and #2,
yeah,
right?
so there's not like a ton of event to work off of yet. But what I think this issue does give us is that because we've had, the big heavy scenes between Hal and Barry, but let's see them interact and have fun as superheroes again. So like there's a scene of them like Martian Manhunter like flies them up into the sky and they get dropped, and Hal and Barry are like sort of holding on to each other, and Barry's like, Hal, get it together, the Flash doesn't fly. And so like Hal needs to like save them, and they still crash through a building. There's like seeing them like interacting, and it's like just fun sort of superheroes, like because they've always been good friends, and you see that dynamic again. It's really really cool. We do also get to see our infected guardian again as they have sort of.
Briefly, we also start beginning the count up, I guess, because it's not a countdown as the power levels of the Black Lantern are rising.
Yep, as they gain more and more bodies to inhabit.
It's
So right now,
especially funny because in between, like if you're just reading Blackest Night, there's a point where it's at like 20%, then it jumps to like 75 in
yeah,
between issues,
yeah,
which is
but
kind of hilarious because
yeah,
like even with these tie-ins, it makes more sense because you're getting in each tie-in at least a couple of percentages.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. So we start here. The first one we see here is a 0.75. So despite however many zombies we've seen already up to this point, it's a there's still a lot to go, and you get this like that's one of those things that like still embodies like the sheer scope of this. It's really cool. We also get some look at what some of the other Lantern Corps are up to at this time. Um, we see some red lanterns, we see Larfleeze, we see the Star Sapphires, Yellow Lanterns, just to kind of see how what they're at while the Black Lantern rings are first taking over and coming towards them. But now, of course, before we cut back then to Hal and Barry.
Alan Barry. Barry has been again, Barry recently alive, Barry Allen. There are moments where Barry suddenly like almost becomes a Black Lantern, or is like indicates that he's kind of almost becoming a Black Lantern in some fashion. Um,
Which just foreshadow a pretty great twist later on.
yes, uh, but yeah, it's 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 a lot. It ends up having Barry fighting Hal briefly, as they then both find themselves in Gotham, um, falling into the bat signal. Uh,
Mhm.
all while our Black Lantern John Jones is like, Justice is dead. Uh,
And then
Meanwhile, we get a little.
then we get to catch up with John Stewart for a brief moment, but it's really cool. We will get him later in the. I think it's not the next tie-in, is it, or is it the one after?
No, I believe it's a couple times down the line
Yeah,
because
but we just see sort of like John just kind of taking things in, reflecting on the his time with Fatality in our last episode, um, and then right before his eyes, a shit ton of Black Lantern rings just start flying towards him, saying "Rise," and that is where this particular tie-in ends. Bring us then into Blackest Night number 2. So
yeah. So
let's get Ray Palmer in here.
yeah. So Ray still trying to call Carter, and Carter's not picking up
Or
until
no,
he does.
Yeah, I was gonna say Carter does pick up, and again, I imagine I'm trying to think of the voice that I'm like. I know what voice I'm imagining, but I'm trying to think of what I can relate it to. But when he like picks it up, I'm imagining like, "Come on over, Ray, let's talk." you know,
I'm thinking Freddy Krueger. Like,
yeah, that's exactly it. Yep, yeah, um,
like I know I've never seen a Nightmare on Elm Street film, but I know there's one where like his tongue sticks out of a phone or something.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Freddy Krueger is also just another one of those great undead characters with great one-liners. um,
uh,
yeah.
it's like, yeah, come over, and Ray's like, well, I'll be right
I'll be
here.
right there. I'm on my way.
Nothing bad is going to happen.
Oh,
Um,
man, love it.
we can't. Okay, because it's such a big event, and there are so many. Because again, I cannot stress enough how many fucking tie-ins there are to this event. It
Mhm,
fills a over 1,000-page omni, and like the event itself is 400, about 500 pages with the Green Lantern tie-ins.
mhm.
Uh, yeah, so there's a bunch of other things. We get a scene with Jim and Barbara Gordon.
Yeah, so this actually also works really well off of our last tie-in issue. They're on top of the GCPD with the bat signal on. Gordon is there. Barbara brings him some coffee. We get a great little moment about Barbara talking about her physical therapy, and it's kind of a reflection, first off on their relationship, but also kind of where Gotham is at the moment after the death of Batman. It's a
The
really great.
night, like it, it's very much like the first line of the scene is, the sky seems so much darker tonight, I'm afraid to turn it off.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh God, love it. Love these characters so much. Um, this heartfelt scene
then
is, of
Hal
course,
just
yeah,
crashes into it.
how falls out of the sky, lands in the bat signal. I will catch back up with that in a moment. But first off, we're catching up with Mira and Garth, still near the grave of Arthur Curry, and actually Orm is here too. Does Orm show up at all throughout the rest of this? Then
I think in just this issue.
is it just this like scene?
No, I think he's there later in the issue in the other scene.
I don't know. I recently reread this obviously, and I for some reason forgot he was even here. Anyway, so it's time for Arthur's zombie to arise, and again, most of these zombies are just grayscale versions of their pre-existing characters with like a Black Lantern logo thrown on them somewhere. But I don't know, something about Aquaman's really works. Maybe it's because it's a simple design to begin with.
It's a simple design, and they don't over design it at all, which is a very possible thing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Anyway,
So
um,
his big line is it's your king's turn to hunt. Um,
mhm.
as
And we also see our percentage here again for power levels of the Black Lanterns at 2.63%, still going up very slowly but steadily.
and then
Because
Johns realizes, the DC universe has kind of a magic and supernatural side, so I'm gonna have to address that right
yep,
now.
especially
Um,
with a character like Boston Brand, who is having a time with the fact that dead characters are rising, and he's technically somewhere in the middle. Yeah, Boston Brand is taking.
he is
Um,
muttering, partially to himself, partially to everyone else who's rising. Stay dead, stay dead. Like
yeah, and then he says, "I don't want to come back." Like,
it's
oh my
it's
god.
kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame that the Endless and Vertigo was its own thing at this point because I would love to see Death of the Endless in like
Imagine if this was published in like somewhere in the 90s, like where we could have maybe done something with that when they were more open with the barrier between Vertigo and main DC. Like, oh, could you imagine? I would love that. But
yeah.
whatever. All right. Let's talk about Hawk and Dove.
Yeah,
um, yeah.
fucking
So,
tough.
okay, I have to know first. What do you know about Hawk and Dove?
They are a pair of superheroes. I know famously that in the 90s, with one of those big annual events, they were doing a someone's going to become evil in the future, and then it leaked who it was going to be, so they had to change it. So it ended up being, I want to say it was Hawk, one of them. They are characters who I do not actually know
I believe
all
it.
that much about.
Wouldn't it have been? I think the one that's dead here is because of that, right? The Don
I
Hall.
believe so,
That
yes.
would be Dove then.
That would be dumb. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, again, the hard part about this is that there's a lot of characters, and gonna be honest, well, I think it's all well written and it's great. Like, probably enough, despite the fact that I sound very critical, give this book overall a 10 out of 10, or at least the Blackest Night issues. With
Nice.
the
Love it.
Green Lantern tie getting a very respectable 9 out of 10, because and
Don't
some
don't
tie-in
don't
reasons.
don't tell me that's because of Parallax Rebirth because I love Parallax Rebirth.
No, it's more of just the nature of tie-ins are even with the event is
Come on.
it's tricky for me, which is it's a me thing. But these are my scores, so it's my opinion that matters. Um,
Okay. Anyway, but yeah, Don Hall is dead. And yeah, we're bringing him back. Or are we? Because it keeps the Black Lantern ring kind of keeps flipping back and forth between Dawn Hall of Earth Rise, and it's trying to say Rise, and then it says Dawn Hall of Earth at Peace, which is really interesting. And also, I'm just now remembering is really something that mostly gets brought up in Brightest Day. So we'll talk about it there when we get to that.
I was
But
gonna say this doesn't get entirely.
yeah,
There's a
it does not.
lot.
It does not. Hawk and Dove are also big players in Brightest Day. It's
This is
Brightest Day is great for like all your C-list DC characters. It's awesome.
did John's right Brightest Day, or was that what did Jay do
Yeah, that was
first?
John's still. Yep.
That was John's. Okay,
Yep. Yep. He was, yeah, and then he did all the Green Lantern tie-ins for that as well. So,
right.
yep. In addition to
Um,
a 24 issue weekly series called Brightest Day. Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
you
lot.
don't have to write that much.
Jeff was a fucking madman in the early 2000s. I mean, he still is a very different
He's
kind
a
of mad.
different
He's a
kind of
different kind of
madman
madman
now.
these days. You know what? Here's the thing. I will take current Madman Jeff Johns over the guy that over like middle late New 52 Jeff Johns. Like that's current Madman Jeff Johns is the guy that writes stupid shit like Three Jokers that I kind of enjoy. So anyway. Yeah,
Garth is dead.
Garth is dead.
Garth
Yep.
gets killed
Mhm.
by his dead girlfriend. Well, okay. Multiple dead girlfriends because these are comics.
Gotta love these
Um,
DC characters. But yeah, dead Aquaman is obviously able to reach out to the sea and still summon animals. I'm assuming dead animals or dead sea animals. Like
have to be dead sea animals. Oh, look, Orm's getting eaten by a sea lion.
what a guy! I forgot he was even. I legit just forgot he was even here. Oh my god.
Here's the
Um,
thing: I do believe like most of these plot lines get their own like 3-issue miniseries in the tie-ins.
totally, totally. But I have
Because
definitely not read every Blackest Night tie-in, so
there's a lot.
there's a lot.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we have to get back to the magic side of the DC universe.
Yeah, with
Ever so briefly,
Spectre, Phantom Stranger, Zatanna, Blue Devil, and is it? Yeah, Pariah. Yep, because Pariah is here too. Um,
but Pariah
is dead.
well, he's dead. Hi, Pariah. Hi, Pariah. Um, that kid does not have much staying
If you if
power.
you if you want Jacob's only exposure to Pariah so far as a character, listen to our last Wonder Woman episode.
I, yeah, do that. That's interesting.
Because it's a weird moment for us recording.
All
um
right. The
anyway,
important thing is Spectre's getting taken over by a Black
by
Lantern
Blackbeard.
ring.
Yep, and
Because he's,
that's not gonna go well.
he turns into a giant and he wants Hal Jordan back. Uh, so we're gonna have to deal with that. Uh, we finally, for a page, finally get back to Gotham. Uh,
Yep.
and Hal uses some coded language uh, to basically communicate to Barbara about some communications because Barbara is Oracle at this point,
Hmm.
obviously. But
Yep.
and of course, Jim Gordon doesn't know his daughter's a superhero.
Hmm.
Um, so Barbara's going to alert everyone, and Hal is going to borrow Gordon's car.
Yep. Then we also actually get this really great moment with the Aqua family, where Garth like freezes one of his past dead girlfriend's heads, and Mira just smashes it with a trident, and again, great foreshadowing for something coming later. But yeah, showing like Mira's sort of like mental state at the death of Arthur Curry, and kind of what Arthur being back as a zombie kind of means to her at the moment. Yeah, just great.
The only thing, it only gets worse when the other dead girlfriend, kind of rips out Garth's still beating heart.
Yep,
Then we have Garth of Earth rise.
yep. And
So
Mira's kind of on her own, and yeah, again, great foreshadowing. Great foreshadowing. Love the
she's just gonna run. She's just gonna run.
Yep.
It's fine. Just run away. Run away. Maybe live to fight another day. Maybe not. Who knows? Because this is a lot. Um, Meanwhile, we have Barry Barry running circles around John, and we learn out exactly what the what helmet by throwing Jim Gordon's police car. Uh, Barry has been because Barry Allen is a chemist. He's been mixing together disulfide, hexane, and methanol gases together and into liquids and things. And well, we have to have a flashback that they're all flammable. So John goes up in smoke.
Yep. And that's how we deal with
Uh,
that. But however, another flash fact: John Jones is a zombie, and so the issue ends by showing that Zombie John Jones is still around, and also we show Hawkman and Hawkgirl still around, Elongated Man, and now Deathstorm, the resurrected Firestorm, I think revealed fully for the first time here. So yeah, and that is where all that issue ends.
That's where issue 2 ends, and
taking us into Green Lantern number 45.
Where this is the first one to really follow John Stewart.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Also, another Pariah appearance.
Hi, Pariah. Bye, Pariah. You are not important. I feel so bad because
here's the thing. The reason he's here right now is he says worlds have died, which is important because he's the guy at the center of Crisis Infinite Earths, and so if worlds are dying, he knows a lot about.
He's a Wolfman and Perez character.
He knows a lot about that. He knows a lot about worlds dying, and of course, no modern DC Comics event is complete without referencing something Wolfman and Perez have done somehow in their careers. So there is that.
Also, Planet has the Black Lantern symbol all over it.
Entire planet, which is this is which one is this? I always forget. Oh no, sorry, no. They don't say which planet this is yet, right?
They don't say yet. Because then we have to cut over to Zamrock, where the Star Sapphires are fighting the Sinestro Corps. Again, I have a feeling this is stuff that was like in what Green Lantern Corps was doing at the time.
Probably Corps.
To bridge the gap.
Probably Corps, because I don't think New Guardians had started yet. I think New Guardians started during Brightest Day. So it was it was probably Corps, I would guess.
It was probably Corps, and again, I don't think the other tie-ins would have obviously started at this point. They would become after, because I think there was a couple of Green Lantern Corps tie-ins to Blackest Night.
Yeah, most definitely.
But yeah, Carol, she asks the relevant question of what the hell am I doing here? Because yeah, a lot of the reason the Blackest Night gets so bad is because all the cores are fighting each other for like the majority of it. Like the introduction of each core has just kind of taken the position of each pre-existing core and thrown them into disarray repeatedly.
Well, a lot of the introduction of the different cores have been focused on like how the cores interact with each other, like which ones should be like natural enemies and allies to each other. And so yeah, like it's sort of like naturally seeding this rivalry between them, and surprise, surprise, fulfilling a prophecy by having them fight each other. So that's sort of what this is establishing here. And as all this is happening, we catch up with Sinestro, who's finally here again. It feels like we haven't seen him in a while.
Can I just say, I love pairing Sinestro and Carol Ferris up. Like, they get paired for quite a few of these backups.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite just pairings in any Green Lantern comic ever. Like it's so good. They actually even get some great stuff later on in the Johns run.
Interesting. Well, because I'm also okay, there's a reading that these are both in a way Hal's exes. Like,
yeah, totally. Yeah, totally.
Not necessarily romantically in the case of Sinestro, but I'm not.
Are you sure about that?
Again, I'm not saying that. I don't think Johns is intending that, though. The reading is valid. I am sure those shippers exist.
Yeah, totally.
But it is. I don't know. There's something very sparkling about the dialogue between the pair, because Sinestro is witty and Carol is an American. I mean that in a nice way.
Yeah.
Like, she's kind of a no-nonsense American businesswoman. Like, no.
Yeah, she's great. We love Carol. But then we also catch up with what the Alpha Lanterns and the Red Lanterns have been up to. They're kind of at each other's throats at the moment.
Still fighting. And as they fight, they keep creating more Black Lanterns.
Yep. Kind of the problem once again, because it's almost like it's the point. And again, self-fulfilling prophecy. These guys are fighting each other. They're killing each other. so they can, for the express purpose of the Blackest Night continuing. It's great. But then we catch up some more with the Star Sapphire Sinestro core fight. At one point, I love this. Sinestro makes a Hal Jordan construct to try to fight Carol with. Great little moment there. And in the middle of all this, Sinestro is then caught by Carol, and we kind of get
forced to remember love, which
so right, isn't it great?
yeah, love, but also heartbreak because it's like, oh no, your heart was broken, and that's why you hate love so
Yep.
much.
It's so good. I love it. And once again, this is another one of those things where, God, it's insane how much John still does in his early New 52 GL stuff, because this is something that plays a big role in one of those early New 52 arcs.
I mean, it's clear that that the most successful New 52 books, for the most part, with some exceptions, were the ones that were basically just allowed to continue uninterrupted, like Green Lantern and
Yeah.
Batman.
There weren't a ton of them. Although also one of them was Hawk and Dove by Rob Liefeld, and that wasn't good. So
Yeah, that's Rob Liefeld though, so I don't think anyone
that
expected
was one of
that.
those books that was one of those books that tried to directly follow up on a Brightest Day plot line, and it was really bad. Mostly because it was
Why?
Liefeld.
I was gonna say, why would you give Rob Liefeld?
I don't know. I don't know. It wasn't good. Anyway, so yeah. So a bunch of Black Lanterns unveil themselves. First of all, acknowledging a bunch of the sentience in front of them with the love, fear, and rage. But then, is this? I forget. Is this a monster that we unveil first? Right?
I believe, yeah, it's Amon Sir,
Yeah,
because
a monster. Yeah.
right before this, Smith was also talking about how Mongol threw his core into a civil war. That's been going on,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and it turns out, oh, that civil war, Sinestro Corps is full of Black Lanterns now.
Yep.
And because we need to do at least a little bit with the Blue Lantern Corps and Larfleeze.
Well, we catch back up with what they've been up to since we last saw them, which is Larfleeze is still attacking the Blue Lanterns. And yeah, Ganthet and Seder are trying to fight that off. They acknowledge that the Blackest Night is here. Meanwhile, I love that it's a ton of Black Lantern rings that go after Larfleeze specifically because he's alone here on a Okara. And they take over the various dead things that Larfleeze has kept for himself, and so he's now surrounded by other Black Lanterns. It's awesome. It's a great moment.
And we end the issue with a tease of the Indigo Tribe.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that'll be coming momentarily. So
momentarily.
So Blackest Night number 3 then, which is such a great cover. First off, there's a reason it got the Blackest Night Omni cover because it's so good. Yeah,
I actually prefer it to the cover that they used for the trade for Blackest Night.
I do like the trade one. If you're looking at Blackest Night as a Green Lantern event, then yeah, it's the trade cover is great. But for Blackest Night as a whole, which is what the Omni is advertising, then yeah, this cover is perfect for that. So
yeah.
Anyway, Jason and his girlfriend are the current Firestorm, and they are talking with each other about the
chemistry test.
Yep. And debating if they should even be Firestorm anymore. And it's a nice little moment.
It's a
great moment of serenity, seeing two characters happy. I'm sure that will
also last. Johns realizes he's introduced these characters. I don't know if people are reading Firestorm right now. Here's a little bit on who these characters are. Again, told through the fact that they're in a school setting, their relationship with one another. It's really good character establishment for the purposes of this book.
Yeah. But we then catch back up with Hal and Barry, still surrounded by a number of Black Lanterns. Namely, this is where we first really start getting to see Deathstorm here, and please tell me you love Deathstorm as much as I do.
Oh, he is delightful.
He's so funny. I can't get over him. He's awesome. He talks the most out of any of the Black Lanterns. He has a ton of personality, and it's just Ronnie Raymond within this version of Firestorm, and it's really fun. It's a really, really fun character. Um, yeah, he's the one I'm definitely most imagining with that Freddy Krueger like voice that I was doing before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, we also find out the Black Lantern Tower is at 50.32%.
Yep. Big
Kind
big
of
big jump.
big
Big
jump.
jump.
Lot of tie-ins have happened already.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's a big event.
yeah,
But it is clear also, like a lot of the, it needs to get to 100% before a certain point. So.
for a certain point happens. Uh, Ray Palmer is also now here to fight. Uh, largely, again, this is keeping our heroes occupied with action because there isn't much they can do. So
Mhm,
Firestorm goes to the Hall of Justice in
mhm.
Washington D.C.
Yep.
It turns out they're responding to someone using Aquaman's code. Uh, they see on a large screen of monitors the chaos
The
of the world right now. Uh,
Yep. They are then met by Mira, who is there, sort of like catching them up on the situation, saying the dead are rising, catching them up on that. We then go back to Hal and Barry as they're fighting off more of the Black Lanterns. We see a little bit more of Ray Palmer, and then it's time. Let's meet the Indigo Tribe as they enter the scene here. Um, I know it's an action piece, but I guess just first impressions of the
first
Indigo Tribe.
impressions. Um, interesting idea of pairing compassion with type of warriors.
Hmm.
I find that interesting. I don't. Again, if there was one thing underdeveloped about this story arc, well, one thing you've mentioned that John's is obviously going to do more. It is the Indigo Tribe themselves.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you get their deal, and I think Indigo One, who's our she's our main uh, Indigo
yeah.
Tribe member
Indigo Tribe would
here.
be your tribe leader. Yeah.
Yeah, our leader. Also, just really the only member of the tribe that we spend any significant amount of time with.
Hmm.
In a
Um,
again in an already packed book.
yeah, you
Um,
do get a small story with her and the Indigo Tribe at the end of the Tales of the Core. It doesn't
yeah,
quite
however,
give.
Tales of the Core is kind of underwhelming
Mm,
for 90% of it.
I kind of disagree, but for the Indigo Tribe, I do agree because you don't get much actually on where these characters come from. Again, it's something that John's definitely plays around with later in probably my favorite of the New 52 GL arcs. But yeah, more on that much later. So yeah, great first impression they make though, because yeah, they come in, they kick ass, they save Hal, Barry. Actually, this is sort of where we start getting a lot of our heroes together because it's Firestorm, Mara, Hal, Barry, Ray, and now the Indigo Tribe with Indigo One and her helper person there. Um,
The thing
and
I
yeah.
find weird is this whole exposition of they discard names and discard everything associated with individualism.
Mhm.
Uh,
There's a reason for that. It's a great reason, and I'm mad it happens so late in the run. It's it's so good, and it takes
yeah,
the Indigo Tribe. It takes the Indigo Tribe so long to really shine as a group. They're one of my absolute favorites when they do get a chance to shine. And I wish I
yeah,
could have.
I think
I wish I could explain that without spoiling later things, but I can't, unfortunately.
I, if I may, I do think it's a testament to John's skill as a writer and skill in characterization that despite having like these shortfalls are very much for the fact that this is an event with so many moving parts that even the shortfalls aren't actually making any of these characters fall by the wayside. Um,
Mhm.
that even in the regular issues, they have a part to play. You don't always
Yeah.
see that part, but it's there.
Mhm.
And all the characters are characterized quite like well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
like
Definitely.
the dialogue is it's not like it's still Jeff Johns writing dialogue. Like Jeff Johns isn't like some master of prose, but he knows how to characterize these people, and he makes these
Mhm.
characters sound like the characters. If that
Yeah.
makes sense,
Definitely.
he's not
I
like
agree. I agree.
he's not like Neil Gaiman, Grant Morrison, or Alan Moore who choose their words so impeccably carefully. Um, but he's very good at distinct characterization, which is a skill for a book like this where there are well over 100 named characters.
Yeah, that's a great skill for Johns to have with a lot of his books, which are often just filled to the brim with characters. Making them all stand out the way he does is always to be admired. So yeah, let's learn from Indigo One what's going on, and really just regroup. Learn what's happening. Get a chance
Have
to
our
actually
first
breathe and
our first moment to breathe and get some exposition because again, this is one of those things where things have been it's been go, go, go.
Mhm. I know that was one of like your complaints early on when you were reading this story was that like
Yeah.
it's a lot early on, and I did tell you I was like that's only because there are a fair few like key players, but once Johns has all of those key players on the board, like it focuses up, it continues to develop on those ideas, but they all need to be on the board first, and then Johns will handle all of it. Um,
It just makes it a lot to read. I think this is the most dialogue in a Jeff Johns comic.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So
Like
actually,
I
especially this next bit here with
was gonna
yeah,
say
with
on page
yeah,
6, if you're in the Omni between pages 629 and 633,
yeah,
it's
it's a
it's a
lot, but it's important. It's really useful exposition.
it's still John, so it's still easy to read. It's just a lot
Yeah,
to read.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. But then, of course, we get another Black Lantern attack. Martian Manhunter is back. I love that he's kind of like the guy that Johns keeps using to like represent the Black Lanterns up until a certain point in this book.
well, because
Um,
it's the whole subversion of justice as a concept, right? Like
yeah,
that's what Johns is doing. It's also a very clever way of using zombies because zombies have their place in media, at least in the modern concept, like a modern post George Romero concept of zombies, because George Romero created the modern zombie basically. Uh, they do sort of represent this like They represent this inverted humanity, a lot of the dissatisfaction with the world. A Night of the Living Dead, in a lot of ways, is George Romero being angry at the Vietnam War and subtly angry at racial injustice and using zombies for that. So Jeff Johns here is kind of just angry in a lot of ways at the concept of the Justice League failing, as represented by Martian Manhunter here.
yeah,
Uh,
it works.
it
Um,
works.
and then it's time to kill one half of Firestorm. This scene in particular, we've already killed off a fair few characters in this book, but this one in particular hits really hard. Because yeah, you're literally ripping not just one half of Firestorm away from Firestorm, but it's the girlfriend of the guy mainly inhabiting the body of Firestorm.
And
Yeah,
forcing the other half into Deathstorm.
yeah, it's really fucked up, but it's great. It's great character drama. It's melodrama, I should say, really. And yeah, Jen goes out. Jason is stuck inside Deathstorm, and
Then
life
all the
goes on.
bodies that the Justice League have been keeping. Oh no! Here come a bunch of rings.
Yeah, and yeah, we're almost at 60% power levels. It's getting up there, and that brings us into Green Lantern number 46. So back with the Star Sapphires and the Sinestro Corps, but where we left off with Amon Sur and his other Sinestro Corps members that are now resurrected as Black Lanterns. Um, it's
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 oh shit! Carol and Sinestro have to team up because neither of them are
yeah,
effective on their own. Um, in the
yeah.
last issue, there is in the large chunk of exposition, there's this whole discussion of using different parts um, of the emotional spectrum, lights specifically to rebound back on and interfere with the black rings. Um, Basically, the whole idea is being the cores may actually have to all work together to defeat purpose.
Mhm.
It again is interesting and fascinating, and it works so well. And this is sort of where we have to start seeding that with Sinestro and Carol working together reluctantly. And it's also just so fitting because again we're seeing if we're reading this through Hal's eyes in a way. It's our two members of separate cores that are the most important to Hal. in a way.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of Hal, we then catch up with him being taken away by Indigo One, because we have some things to do with them. Hal is arriving at the site of the Star Sapphire and Sinestro core fight, and Indigo One is there as well. Basically, we're just kind of like gathering up all of our different cores to start working together. We gathered yellow,
I
green,
love the dialogue
indigo,
between Al and Carol here. It is the best sort of like snarky flirtation. Uh,
and
uh, you know. And then Sinestro just quips, "The love that you have for one another is truly inspirational."
It's so good. And then Sinestro comes face to face with Indigo One. Other cores are becoming aware of the Indigo tribe. And then it's time for the other Hawks or other incarnations of the Hawks to rise. Just a cool idea, and I really like that. Utilizing that here, and then also there's another big power level spike for the Black Lanterns. We're at 68.99% here. It says
Yeah.
so.
And then we, in the same panel, we jump. Well, it's interesting is that in the panel it jumps from 63.24 to 68.99 to 71.42.
Yeah,
All while the Star Sapphire's power battery is ripped and the Predator is free, and our corrupted Guardians are sending all of the Black Lanterns unengaged to follow the Indigo light.
yeah.
Uh, so, John Stewart in Space Sector 1313
Yep.
in
Still
front of
with
his planet is like,
our
well,
our dead Black Lantern planet.
it's like, well, I could just go down there and maybe try to help save the day. Um,
It's funny, kind of like how much has happened in the event up to this point since we last saw the Black Lantern planet unveiled, and like, I kind of like the image of just John is flying up there forever and just being like, "Gotta do something eventually." um, yeah.
got to move forward. Meanwhile,
So we are catching up once again with our other lanterns.
on
Also,
Korrigar,
yep. We get
because hi, Mongol.
Mongol powered by multiple yellow rings. Gets to take on Sinestro and Indigo One and everyone else here, and it's great to see Sinestro shine in this moment.
It's
So-
these middle issues of the times where I don't so much have a problem, but is I think it gets a little too close of some things drag. Um, this one in particular is just almost too. This is almost like shit. I have a loose end with Mongol. We're tying that up quickly here. We're taking issue to do that.
Well, I think it's also important to remember that these aren't just like tie-ins to an event. This is still like regular numbered issues of the Green Lantern title at the same time.
Yes, yeah.
So like, we're working, trying to balance those two, even if it is mostly
My
Blackest
point is
Night
that
stuff.
the tie just become a lot, and that sort of brings that half of the story down just slightly for me. Uh, it is not, in fact, the parallax return that annoys me
It's great.
mostly.
I love the Parallax issue so much. Sinestro is able to defeat Mongol and reclaim his yellow rings, and free his core because free other members of his core. We see our Kilo here again, which is nice. Everyone's kind of back. There's more like identifying of the emotional spectrum for love, will, fear, and compassion, all together
It's like
now.
it's almost like we're going to be trying to collect each one of each for some purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And then our big reveal at the end of this one is Undead Abin Sur and Sister Aaron Sur.
And,
My God, it's so
and
good. Yeah,
that was like this cliffhanger kind of blew the rest of most of the rest of this issue out of the water.
that's fair. That's
I
fair.
like I do like Sinestro's big monologue as he's taking the core in the end. Um, but that's because Jeff Johns knows how to write a Sinestro monologue. Like
It's almost easy to write a Sinestro monologue because just easy for Johns, that is, because Johns has just kind of perfectly characterized Sinestro. Like no one's done it better than him. Anyway, bring us into Blackest Night #4. I think this is actually like the only main Blackest Night issue without Hal Jordan in it.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
But if I'm going to be honest, and this isn't a bad thing, I didn't notice Hal was missing. Like,
really.
yeah, I was more enraptured with everything else going on. Oh,
That's fair. I would say this is definitely that point that I was referring to when, like, now that all the players are here, let's focus in on them.
yes.
Because yeah, this is where
I
these
will also
characters
say
really get to shine.
I think in my reading I did take a break between the last Green Lantern issue and this one.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So that might also be why I didn't notice,
Mm.
since I wasn't, immediately reading. Uh, but yeah, the players are in place, facing overwhelming odds, and Jeff Johns loves Barry Allen.
He
Like this
loves it.
is clear.
Loves him.
Um,
Loves the guy. I
Sometimes to
really
his
I
own
really do think
detriment.
like, and I know Johns was writing a lot in the early New 52, but I really think John should have stuck with Barry early New 52. Like, because he clearly didn't get enough to do with the character, and I think he clearly
Honestly,
wanted to do more. Like,
like
and like obviously we both loved the Manipul and Bucalado run, but like I really think John should have stuck with the character.
I mean, if Johns had to drop a book to pick it up, I like drop Justice League. His
I mean,
Justice League run.
yeah. I mean, Origin is great. I think Origin is a fantastic story. And we'll definitely talk about more John's Justice League in the future. Um,
Yes, but
and we both really like Throne of Atlantis. And I guess if our complaint is he should have written more Barry Allen, I guess that's where he was writing more Barry Allen at least. Um,
yeah, but
so.
my point is Justice League is probably the Jeff Johns run that we've read that has been overall the rockiest.
I think it's
Um,
really just Trinity War that kind of like throws that off. Like,
yeah,
villains,
but it throws it off.
villains journey, while underwhelming, is just kind of like I don't think it's offensively bad or anything like that.
Villain's Journey is decent enough. Um,
It's enough to get by, but like Origin, I love. Throne of Atlantis is a really solid crossover event. And then the stuff after Trinity War, I really like. There's a really great event that follows that up, and Dark Side War is really awesome. Um,
See, I can't comment on those because
and we'll get there. We'll get there.
yes.
Anyway, but where was I? Oh yeah, so yeah, all the dead villains in the Hall of Justice are back, and they're Black Lanterns, and we are also there's a great moment where Ronnie and Jason are fighting within Deathstorm, and it's a really great moment. It's cool.
It's more of Ronnie kicking Jason's ass while Jason's trying to take control. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
Mainly to indicate, hey, these zombies are more powerful than you could ever know. Ray Palmer has an exit strategy by calling 911 and everyone getting through 911
Hmm.
through the phone lines to like the 911 dispatch center, which
Yeah,
is genuinely quite funny.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
we then get to see
Um,
what's going on in Gotham.
and hey, I mean, look, I know you said last episode that you really wanted more Jonathan Crane as a Yellow Lantern, and I mean, like, though it doesn't come yet, I'm sure you were at least happy
Coming.
to see this here, and definitely foreshadowing that
Like,
reveal coming up. And hey,
hmm,
also Black Lantern Azrael.
yeah, I can't tell a difference between him and regular Asriel.
You're not wrong. You're
For
not wrong.
for any potential Asriel fans, that was specifically a joke at the expense of Night Quest and Night's End and Nightfall. Um,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am sure Asriel eventually gets something
He's
decent.
just oddly enough he's one of those few characters that I think is genuinely better in his New 52 reincarnation. Um,
Really?
yeah, I think I much prefer New 52 Azrael, specifically in Batman and Robin Eternal. That's a really great run for him. So
We need to read the Batman Eternal
we
events.
we need to do
Those
the
two.
Eternals. Main Batman Eternal is kind of rocky, mostly because it has no clue what the fuck it wants to do with Hush. But Batman and Robin Eternal is really great. I really love that one. Um,
Anyway, we also get Lex
Weird
Luthor.
tangent. Yeah, Lex Luthor. This isn't foreshadowing anything at all.
Weird orange and onomatopoeias. Weird that that's happening.
Weird. Yeah. Oh, what's with that?
Weird that colors of the emotional spectrum are being used for certain characters for onomatopoeias. That
No,
can't be.
that doesn't mean anything. No,
No, no, nothing,
no,
nothing at
not in
all.
the slightest.
Um,
No. Back with
Lex is monologuing, and he's locked himself in a bunker.
yeah.
Um,
Meanwhile, we're back with Barry and the gang.
and I really like Barry here, just being like, okay, being the one to try to calm everybody in this situation.
Again, Joss just has such a great handle on the character. I really love his Barry, and again, it's another one of those things where you could just see like why characters like Hal and Barry were brought back specifically by Jeff Johns because he really felt strongly about these characters and he wanted to see more of them. And it's
He wanted to see
there's
them
a reason.
succeed and um, be different, despite the eternal war of Flash fans. Because in the difference between Barry did kind of screw up
And
Wally
look,
West.
I respect the plight. I really, really do. But you don't need to hate Barry Allen in order to love Wally West.
At least it seems that current DC is doing an okay. It's just doing a better balance between the
most
two.
most definitely, most definitely.
Uh,
I do sort of need to read the Jeremy Adams Flash run because I've heard that's fantastic. But anyway, let's see more Black Lantern attacks. Oh yeah, we see we catch up with the JSA here, which is fun. Uh,
because they have uh, they have a
I know they're here
they
for
have
a
to
reason. I
call.
genuinely forget
Well,
why.
they call Mr. Terrific as an exit strategy, so Ray Palmer can use the phone lines to get everybody away, which is very fun. Again, we're moving pieces around the board. Um, while Barry is trying to basically get a call out to the rest of the league. Specifically, we see in montage the Titans, the Green Arrow family, and Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm. Is Wonder Woman
Um,
fighting? Oh, what are their names? Shit from the Perez run with the Cheetah arc. Is that who those are?
I'm not entirely sure. Maybe, um,
I can't think of their
maybe
names now.
not.
Shit, we just had a reference to them in the Tom King stuff too. I can't think of their names now. Anyway, whatever. But yeah, so yeah, we're sending a signal out to them. Meanwhile, as the power levels begin to get very close to 100%, we're at 97.79. Black Hand is still has his Bruce Wayne skull that he's carrying around with him, and is preparing for something that's coming very soon. Then with the rest of the JSA here, we get. Is this where we have the one death here? Am I misremembering that?
Which death?
There's an important death here that like I is it here? I could be totally wrong about that.
Well, this is building up to the point where we reach 100%.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, sorry, okay, because we have that's right. Okay, so we have Adam Smasher here. And we have Adam Smasher. I think. Holy shit! I'm totally lost in this bit here. I just read this recently. Holy shit! What is the name? I'm totally blanking on this character. Oh my god. Whatever.
Wild Cat.
No, not Wildcat. Is Wildcat even here? I don't think he is. This is great content. We're gonna move on. Whatever. Point being, there are more Black Lanterns. Is the point really? And this we're at 100% here. The Black Lantern is rising out of the ground. Where Black Hand is at, and
Yeah, transport from space sector 666 to space sector 2814,
mhm.
and Necron rises.
Necron being, of course, the sort of avatar of the Black Rings here, in the way that other cores have their sort of emotional specter avatar things like Parallax and Ion and things like that. So that brings us into our next tie-in with Green Lantern at number 47. We have two tie-ins in a row actually coming up here.
Yes.
Yeah, great first panel here with Dead Lyra. My God, that's great. Yeah, time to see what the Red Lanterns have been up to. We have some more Black Lanterns arising on Yzmalt.
We have this great idea of the Red Lantern rings physically replacing the heart and the blood. Like, yeah, and it's such a dark idea. Um, So very fitting. Um, you know, this whole idea is that these Black Lanterns want to see the Guardians destroyed, and are playing off the idea that Atrocitus's rage can't get any like is has reached its peak. Um,
Mhm.
so much
There's
so that
there's a
then
great bit though, like when they pull out Atrocitus's heart and try to get him to become a Black Lantern, it does absolutely nothing, and his rage just
he is quite
continues to burn.
literally being kept alive through rage.
Insert your deadly assassin, only hate keeps me alive memes. Um,
God, now I want to imagine Peter Pratt or Jeffrey Beavers' voice for Exodus.
see, that would be fun, but I think he's much more like oh, I forget who did it in the second Injustice game. I can't remember who was now. That's I don't know. That's always the one that I imagine.
Like Peter Pratt, though, the voice of an opera singer.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Uh,
but yeah, so it literally just makes Atrocitus stronger. Meanwhile,
on
Sinestro,
Koragar,
Sinestro is still
we
being haunted by Abin and Aaron Sur. Um, Aaron Sur, of course, it is worth noting, the ex-lover of Sinestro. Um, so yeah, that's doing a lot to him. Abin
uh,
Sur, of course, being the one that to haunt Hal Jordan. Um,
what I love is that Hal just admits, like, yeah, I fucked up and destroyed a city of 1,000 people. Play the world's largest violin for me. Um, as he makes, a giant violin construct. Uh, It's fascinating. It's like, and Hal's like, Abin tries to play on this whole idea of like, oh, what does it matter? Your life doesn't matter. One of these days you're just going to die. Uh, um, and Cal just has the willpower, all while Sinestro is feeling some different things. Uh, feeling some different things.
yeah, because
Uh,
we see conflicting emotions in him. The Black Ring is like scanning him, and instead of just the one like outline of him of fear, it's like there's love and compassion as well as he's faced with Aaron. It's a really great moment. Yeah, we then get our first actual moment of the sort of Lantern Rings powers like combining to take on these black rings, obviously using green, yellow, of indigo and violet together to fight off these black lanterns, and it works actually. It's a hey, how about that? What
so
do
we
you
get
know?
actually a quiet moment of Sinestro having to reflect and Hal asking who who was Abin's sister to you, and Sinestro doesn't answer. Uh, and that deflection is deafening. Uh, you know, uh, it turns out it's like, okay, we need to get the red lanterns and the blue lanterns on side somehow. We don't know how we're going to do that because it's kind of crazy. You know, Hal suggests doing, friends before enemies, going for the blue lanterns first. And it's like, well, we are going to have to all stick together. This is going to suck because we all have to stick together. Uh, and Sinestro is like, well, Core, stop attacking Green Lanterns for now because we have a bigger threat. And it's a fascinating character moment for Sinestro because you have the loss, you have the conflicting emotions, and then you have this man who is a good leader of his core, even though he's, a villain. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Something that I love about what Johns does. I can't praise Jeff Johns writing Sinestro enough.
Sinestro
Uh,
is so good. Oh my god, love him. Oh, I love him so much. Yeah, then we catch back up with John Stewart, who is down on this Black Lantern planet.
where it's finally revealed that this is Xanshi, which is a planet that it seems John let die, uh,
Mhm.
tying it in more directly to John Stewart's current mental state.
Yeah.
Uh,
We then go over to Odin, where again, still, how long has this been fight go? Has this fight been going on between the Blue Lanterns and Larfleeze's constructs? Um, As Hal, Carol, Sinestro, and Indigo One arrive, help take on the Larfleeze constructs and begin to recruit Saint Walker, Ganthet, and Sade, and all them. We think in another hilarious scene on Okara of Larfleeze just trying to outrun the Black Lanterns that all around him. When he comes face to face with Atrocitus, who is here on Okara as well. And
Atrocitus wants his battery now.
And that is where the issue ends, taking us into
I'm,
Green Lantern number 48.
I'm also glad that we have these two not backups, these two tie-ins back to back.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think if we
So
didn't, Hal would be missing from the main event for quite some time.
how do we see for the main event? And I think they would, the flow of the backups wouldn't work. Just would be really interrupted.
Yeah, because we're right on the cusp of finishing collecting all the cores, and it's just like, why would you cut it off now? So yeah, here we go. Back where we left off with that one, Atrocitus and Larfleeze, trying to work together while still fighting each other to take on the Black Lanterns. Great scene here between the two of them, because also we haven't actually really seen Atrocitus and Larfleeze interact much, and I don't know, I love their manic energy. It's great.
It's very different manic energy, but it's all manic and all insane.
Yeah.
Especially since Larfleeze is, for lack of a better term, core wants him dead. Is the greedy bastard wronged a lot of people that he killed, for killing them.
It's almost like Larfleeze's entire core, if you can call it a core, is flawed at its very core. Haha, but eventually, our Rainbow Brigade shows up. No, that's not derogatory against anyone. That's literally what they are. No, we're collecting our.
I was gonna say, how many of these characters are straight though? Like,
that's what. That's, I mean, Hal's straight, unless he's around Barry Allen.
I was gonna say, are you sure about that?
He's got his exceptions. I think. I don't know. You know what? Let's legitimately guess the sexualities of these characters.
Saint Walker and Indigo One are probably ace.
Yeah, I think Sinestro kind of suffers from Disney villain gay, where like he's straight, but like kind of like I don't know, has experimented. um, Carol's a tough call. I feel like Larfleeze would fuck anything, um, as long as it could be his afterwards. Atrocitus.
Atrocitus is probably the token straight.
Maybe. Yeah. Or maybe also Ace, because I feel like he wouldn't really have time for much else than his rage. Anyway, weird tangent. Moving on. Yeah, helping to fight off these Black Lanterns. Our cores are now fully assembled with Ganthet and Sade at their side. We get some more great.
Cracks another Gonzo Uncle Scrooge joke at
Yep.
Larfleeze's expense.
Yep. And yeah, we get some more great Hal and Sinestro bitch fighting, and Atrocitus kind of at the center of it all, goading them both. Because yeah, it's kind of easy to forget that Atrocitus, Sinestro, and Hal all kind of have a history together.
Also turns out, hey, surprise, Atrocitus is kind of the one responsible for all of this happening. Like,
I mean, okay, no, it's not really Atrocitus. It's the Guardians having taken everything from Atrocitus, and Atrocitus acting as a result of that.
yes, yeah. I mean, it's also, if we want to play the blame game for the people present, Atrocitus takes the blame himself. Um, because we have to have a fight. This is also like, yeah, I'm just gonna kill you both and let you become Black Lanterns. Never mind the fact that it's like, hey, it's the opposite of what you need to happen. Also, the utterly fascinating moment of could Atrocitus ever become a Blue Lantern? Like that.
Mm-hmm. I
Saint
mean, yeah,
Walker.
if his people like continue to survive? I mean, probably.
Very probably. It's
But
very
also,
road not taken.
yeah, but again, like
Uh,
Atrocitus is sort of about like being at the center of all this. Like, would the other cores exist if his history were different?
maybe, maybe not.
It is kind of crazy how important Atrocitus is to like this entire story. It's really
And he
great.
was created by Jeff Johns for this
Mhm.
run.
And just
Uh,
seeded into Green Lantern history and made really important by default. It's really cool. Yeah.
then we have some, we have Atrocitus captured because they still need to work together. Um, Larfleeze wants his own guardian for some reason.
Because of course he wants everything. Of course he wants a guardian. Why
Like
not?
it's like my guy that will only cause you more problems.
I think everything Larfleeze wants will inevitably cause him pain in the end. I don't think he has the time to think that through, though.
No, no.
Yeah. So anyway, issue ends and all of our cores are gathered together, taking us very nicely and very neatly into Blackest Night #5. Great Necron cover here. A bunch of DC heroes on display. I really like that one. But anyway, here we go. So all of our cores gathered together back on Earth. Or no, sorry. Oh, still on Ryut. Never mind. I
With
think they're back on
a
Earth anyway.
they're well, all of them are lighting up their power batteries, and they're all doing their oaths on this amazing 2-page spread.
It's so
Uh,
good. Oh my god, love it. And
uh,
Larfleeze is just confused by it all. Um, but then, they're powering up their batteries. Meanwhile, back on Earth in Coast City, our heroes are aware of the rising of Necron, and Barry tries to.
Barry is directly confronting Necron. Necron,
Well,
like,
Black Hand is able to fight Barry Allen himself for a moment because again, Black Hand has become super powerful because of this. It's kind of crazy. And then
also,
also
this is the
Wally.
first time I think someone notices. This is also the first time someone notices that Black Hand has Bruce's skull.
No, I know
What?
they mentioned it before.
No, but, like, this is the first time characters notice that, oh, that's actually Bruce's skull. Uh, Wally shows up, um, which is I'm
And
very curious to see what the Flash tie-ins were like because obviously Wally was doing stuff. Um,
I'm not sure if there were proper Flash tie-ins because I think this came out in the time between Flash Rebirth and the actual John's
oh,
Flash
you're
run
right.
starting up.
You're right.
Unless there was a Wally run, I could be mistaken, but I think this was the time between Flash Rebirth and the actual John's run starting up. So,
Right. Well,
um,
because I do know they also did, again, three issue minis outside of normal numbered issues.
yeah.
So it could have also
Um,
been one of those.
yeah.
Um,
But anyway, yeah. So Wally brought back up. We've got the Titans here. We've got a lot of the Justice League here. We've got Green Arrow. We've got Animal Man of all people, which is great. We got Fire and Ice here. A lot of really cool characters on display
Beast
here.
Boy. What do you mean? They're in the Titans. Um, yeah, it's the great moment of, hey, we have we have our friends,
And
and this.
a fair few of them are not dead yet.
Well, it's also like, hey, the power of friendship might
Sure,
actually bring hope. I know
surely that will
people
stop the
rag.
zombies.
I know people rag on the power of friendship, but, like, I do think that trope is actually can be very powerful when it's used well.
Well, especially in a
Yeah,
story like this, like we've gone a long time in this story already, and like having this be like our first proper like big superhero team up in it, it's really nice. I think it really works. Um, yeah,
yeah. I mean, it also probably helps partially that it doesn't entirely work because, well,
because there are
this
way
is
more Black Lanterns.
there
um,
are more people who are dead than there are alive. Uh,
that's just a fact. Yeah. So yeah, it's not the most effective thing, but they get some solid hits in. Um, Yeah, and then as things
We
are
we
going
find
bad,
from the corrupted Guardian who ends up fighting um, not only Barry but Wally and Bart. At least I think that's Bart. Who's Kid Flash? Yeah, Bart is Kid Flash.
yeah, it's Bart. Yep.
I'm used. Here's the thing: when I think of Bart Allen, I think of him as Impulse for whatever reason.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know. Yeah, this
Um,
was very much the Kid Flash time for Bart. So
yeah,
yeah,
which, God damn it, there's so many flashes.
so
There
many
are.
Flashes. It's a lot to keep track of. Yeah. Finally, a superhero family more confusing than the Green Lanterns. Um, anyway, but yeah. So
So
yeah,
Jeff
as
Johns' fault.
it really is. But yeah, so yeah, corrupted Guardian, and as this is all happening, the rest of the cores arrive with Hal, Saint Walker, Indigo One, Sinestro, Atrocitus, Carol, and Larvleys, and let's go. It's cool. It's a really cool triumphant moment.
We also find out this corrupted Guardian is female. Like
I thought we
at
knew
this
that
point,
already.
I think did we? I don't remember.
I thought we knew that, or at least at the very least, I kind of forgive me for this. I assumed it by like looking at her design when she was like first showed in some of the issues last time.
Yeah, but sometimes she gets drawn and it isn't always clear.
That's fair.
Sometimes that's also because the Guardians kind of look the same.
Yeah. Man,
Like
between I assumed her gender and all Guardians look the same. We are not winning with this one. This
this
is
is so bad. Like it's a problem that it is kind of a problem that only Ganthet and Saeed really have really distinctive designs.
yeah. Well,
Most and
that's I
sadly,
mean that's literally the point. I feel like on most days for most Guardians, I would just kind of use like they them for most of them.
yeah.
Um,
Though of
but
course,
like
this being it's 2000s. I think they generally default to he. Um,
yeah. But even then, like that's kind of the point with Ganthet and Sade or Said, however you say it. I've always said Sade personally. But with Ganthet and Sade, like that's kind of the point. Is like they're the only ones that have sort of carved individual identities for themselves. Um, so yeah, like it's literally them all being the same is the point. But
yes.
topic for another day, I
Um,
suppose. Or I guess not. This is exactly the kind of thing to bring it up in.
yeah.
Anyway.
This is Anyway, the point is that we are going to attack the central Black Lantern to destroy it, and that will cause the death of all of the power rings of the Black Lantern power rings.
So
Um,
let's see how that goes.
our Rogue
Um,
Guardian is, all the lies could be exposed, and that lie being exposed is that, well, first there's some hints of other characters having potential to embrace the emotional spectrum,
mhm,
mainly Diana embracing love.
mhm.
Uh,
And and then
but then
as
Donna Troy seems to fall. Bruce Wayne of Earth rises.
and my god, look at Black Lantern Batman. How fucking cool is he? I love it. I love it. I love it so much. It looks awesome. Um, but interestingly, and very importantly,
Because it's specifically using Bruce Wayne as the emotional tether that ties the Justice League together, which is fascinating. Something that I think I actually really like as an idea. So I also prefer the Justice League when they're friends and like there isn't that like tension of Bruce having a plan to take all of them out and doesn't actually trust them.
I
No,
mean that's I mean that's I think that's just part of Bruce's character, but it doesn't necessarily mean like they can't be friends. Like I don't think
yeah.
those things are mutually exclusive, you know.
Certain
Um,
writers emphasize that aspect of the character.
I mean, like it's important that like the writer that kind of popularized that idea was Grant fucking Morrison. The idea that Bruce has a contingency plan for everyone is like it's Grant Morrison, and Grant Morrison obviously is a writer that understands the core friendship and compassion of the Justice League and Batman as a
Yes.
character. So yeah, so
So
it's yeah they work together, but
having this emotional tether
um,
means that all of the superheroes who are alive that were once dead,
as we lovingly pointed out before, there are a lot of resurrected DC characters in addition to currently dead ones. Yeah, they are tied to the Black Death energy as well, and so rings are able to take them over. We see Diana, Superman, Connor, Bart, Oliver, everyone, pretty much everyone else that isn't already infected kind of gets taken over. Barry and Hal are still
but
fighting the good fight.
luckily, they then sever the connection to Bruce Wayne. Barry's still fighting and trying to outrun the ring. Try to say that 5 times fast. Uh,
Importantly, I forget where they pointed out here because I think it is definitely at some point in this. But when Necron says like you served your purpose, Bruce Wayne, it's in quotes.
yeah,
And there's something later on that says that it's at the very end that says like that wasn't actually Bruce. It very much is tying into like how Morrison was actually intending to bring back Bruce. So it's a whole thing. You'll see. We'll get
it
there eventually.
surprisingly works though.
It does. It does. Yeah. Because then,
Yeah, the connection gets severed.
yeah,
But
and there are now a lot more Black Lanterns. One of which is Superman, and that's a problem.
and the rings are going after, and we also end with the rings going after Hal and Barry.
Yep, and that is where that
we
one
have to
ends.
do a diversion to space.
Yep, because it's Green Lantern number 49, and yeah, we've got a John Stewart story. Which at first off, I think it's a shorter issue than normal, isn't it? Like I remember being
I'm
shorter.
not sure, but when I was reading it, it felt short.
Yeah, here.
But not like Jeff Johns being so engrossing that it felt short. Like it just felt like I wasn't turning the page as much.
Yeah, here, 16. Yeah, it's 16 pages. I wonder, was there another story maybe in here?
Maybe part of the Tales of the Corps was included in this. Maybe, who knows?
I don't know.
Yeah, this is called Semper Fi, and this is kind of the John Stewart story for like this was. I believe I messaged you after finishing this one, like, "Oh, this was a fantastic almost standalone issue." Um,
I,
of the
I'm sorry. I'm just kind of stuck on the way you pronounce that. Isn't it? It's Semper Fi.
It might be Semper Fi.
Sorry, I just kind of got like that stopped my brain for a second. I was like, wait a second, have I been wrong? No, I'm right, right? I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So
Look. I think after all the mispronunciations you've had over this podcast, I'm allowed at least
you have
one.
gotten me on fucking dumb Greek names, so I don't think that counts.
I think that does. This is also technically Greek. Well, Latin.
See, you don't even know the difference. Neither did I, to be fair. But still, you've gotten me on stupid Greek names, and I don't think that counts.
I actually do know the difference because I have studied the etymology of Latin and Greek. Thank you
So
very much.
you have no excuse.
Yes. Anyway, rating it in because I do want to praise this thing. Like the one issue not drawn by Mank or Reese. Ed Benes and Marcos Mars on pencils. Ed Benes on inks with Luciana Del Negro also on inks. And then colors by Hi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
So
we love some good hi-fi colors.
yes. So this is John Stewart reflecting on his failures and overcoming that grief.
Mm-hmm.
It's done again, done very quickly. 16. You said 16 pages.
Yeah, 16. I just counted it. Yeah.
It's John being confronted physically with all the death, creating constructs to try and stop them.
Mm-hmm.
Having
I love
someone
that
he
the first
loves.
construct he really makes is his military outfit. Like it just I don't know. There's something just really striking about that. As he's trying to take on, the ghost of his past. We get some great flashbacks as well to his time in the military. Really, really great stuff. It's just a really great little character piece for John. It's also where I think I at least consider this to be like the most iconic piece of John Stewart art. It's always the one that I see when I think of like when people like bring up like John Stewart as a character. It's the one on 783. It's the 2-page spread of the Omni. Or sorry, 783. I said 783, right? I don't
Yes,
know
you
what
did.
Okay.
Yes.
That one. That piece of art. Like that is so good. That is fucking John Stewart right there. It's so good.
I also feel sort of with the whole zombies in role in fiction of reflecting sort of the twisted nature of society. I feel like Johns is trying to comment a little bit on the Iraq and Afghanistan wars at this point. Again, this
I
was
mean,
coming out
that's a
between,
lot of Jon Stewart's character as a whole.
well,
On
especially modern Jon Stewart, because I know Jon Stewart was originally just an architect.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, which is something that I'm glad we've at least moved beyond, at least moved on beyond like strictly him being an architect. Because yeah, I think his military background just, for me at least, makes him infinitely more interesting. Yeah.
yeah, but I find this idea of him being the only honorable soldier here fascinating, and being the only one to fight and be literally the last line of defense. Um, all even though then confronted with the zombie of a child, um, all as this planet is coming towards Earth, building towards the end. Um,
hmm
again,
it's fucking great. It's so good.
it's also just fascinating. This is just one issue, and it feels so much like a standalone,
Yeah,
in a really good way.
yeah.
It might be one of my favorite issues. It's definitely one of my favorite issues of the episode that we're covering. Um, just because it's a standalone character piece, and
Mhm.
sometimes Johns hits that out of the park really, really well.
Yeah.
Uh, anyway, Blackest
Yeah.
Night
So
number 6.
yeah. Which first I want to talk about this. Okay, so this is a great cover. I love this cover so much. It's partially the second omnibus cover, but they only took Hal Jordan from it and then spliced a bunch of the other DC
From
characters
other
that get
places?
rings. Yeah, the other DC characters that get rings later on in this story in the background. But like, I don't know why this whole cover isn't just the Omni cover, because like this is perfect. Like, I don't know, it's weird. Whatever.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
Um,
and also like, aren't you like just spoiling Blackest Night having those other characters on the Omni cover? Like, I don't know, it's weird.
Maybe because of when they're publishing this, they are expecting the Omni to be bought only by people who've already read the story.
I know
Uh,
for a fact that they're wrong about that.
I mean, the Omni was originally published, I want to say, in 2015. So you imagine that's still, it's like, I mean, it's largely catering to a collector's market, I guess, is at
I
least the thought process.
suppose. Yeah.
Um, I mean, once again, one of the things the American comic book industry could learn is how to actually market their stuff, um, and make it widely available to more people. Um,
Yeah.
this is just another example of that.
Yeah. But anyway, let's get into this one, because yeah, it's various lanterns versus our newly not resurrected our resurrected zombie lanterns of characters that were already alive but were previously resurrected not as zombies.
Are
It's
Reser dead? Did Res Redeaded? Redeaded?
Yes. Yes. So really they
Is there
just killed them
something
again.
there?
So really they just killed them again. So they're not really zombies.
No, they're not.
They're
They're
just dead.
ghouls. They're
They're just,
just dead.
they're just dead. They're not undead. They're just dead. But they're still. It's weird. Anyway, yeah, it's
Mind you, Alan Barry are still just trying to run from the rings that are trying to get
yeah.
them.
Okay,
Um,
this is a little weird to me. So nobody else is able to outrun them, obviously, and I get why Barry's able to. Why is Hal able to? That's a little weird to me.
well, the answer to that is Jeff Johns. Because
You're absolutely correct.
you could ask, why isn't Bart Alan? Bart's a speedster. Heck, why isn't Superman?
Yeah,
Uh,
I
but
don't know.
yes, it's
They're the main characters, is the point. And yeah, they're eventually able to run so fast that the connection is severed. Oh, wait, what is it? Hang on. So I love the explanation of
so
this. Hang on. So
what.
it's
So what Barry demands that Hal throws a line after speaking with Wally. So Barry runs super fast that he time travels 2 seconds into the future.
mhm. So therefore they're no longer within the time that the rings were going after them in. So the connection is severed, but they're still there.
I
It's a really
swear
great.
this is a Doctor Who plot point.
Probably.
It is definitely like this. Like this is the plot of the space. This is why the TARDIS crew can't be seen in the beginning of the Space Museum.
That's true.
Um, Also, Day of the Daleks, maybe. with the whole
Uh, trying to think what
being out
part
of
of Daily
state?
Balance.
The time loop bit that doesn't actually resolve itself like it's supposed to because they forgot to film it in the end.
That's true. Anyway,
Uh,
all right, moving on. Let's see. More zombies, more of our main characters being haunted by zombies. Get some great Ray and Mira moments. And then
because we find out
John.
that
Oh,
every
sorry, go ahead.
Black Lantern in the universe coming to Earth.
Yep, because John is bringing them with him because he's got a whole dead planet behind him. So they're all there. The
Gambit finally decides to show up.
Yep. And do something really really important because yeah we need some backups, so we are going to we are going to duplicate our rings and scan for people to take on these new rings. And this is where probably one of the most iconic things about this story comes from. It's let's give other DC heroes rings and let's choose some really fitting options. So first off, Barry Allen gets blue. Perfect. I mean that's just the best choice right there. Larfleeze is obviously pissed that he is getting a ring taken away from him, but it does go to the one and only Alexander Luthor, which again,
For this
perfect
point, is
choice.
being attacked by his dad.
Yep, which is a whole other can of worms. um,
I
then
finally got my yellow ring scarecrow.
finally get your yellow ring scarecrow, and it's perfect. Ray Palmer gets Indigo, which is it's just an odd choice. I'm not sure why
It's
exactly.
it's because
I mean,
Johns didn't.
and it's not like incorrect. It's
Yeah,
just it just seems kind of random.
yeah. I think it's also because Johns didn't want to do Superman, who is
Yeah, yeah. I
kind
will
of the
super.
most obvious choice.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And it's weird because it's not like he couldn't like undo the whole Black Lantern thing because we literally do that with the
Diana
Violet Ring
getting,
because yeah, because Diana gets that. Also, Mira gets red, and
which
I
I think
love that.
only works in the context of this story. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Um,
that's the thing. That's the thing that works in the context of this story because she's gone through so much pain and loss.
yeah, yeah.
And that can
And so
lead to rage.
yeah, and
Um,
so let's fucking go. Look at that two-page spread. The gang's all here. Let's fucking go. Yeah, going into our next two tie-ins because we've got Green Lantern number 50, little two-part story within everything. This is Parallax Rebirth Part 1. So, what a title. Kind of kind of tells you what you're in for. I'm not sure how it's going to tie into
I
Blackest
have a
Night.
feeling that the title page might have been at the very end of this one. Um,
Probably, but at least it would have been advertised in like solicits as Parallax
yeah.
Rebirth Part 1. So, whatever. Picking up where we left off, and also like this is another one of the reasons why like I love including the Green Lantern tie-ins into the main story because like this for me at least feels like a really essential part to this story,
I mean,
especially
it's the way
because
it's where we get to see most of our characters who've been gifted lantern powers get to actually use them.
yeah,
Um,
I think between this and those tie-ins that show the cores like sort of banding together, like Hal collecting everyone to go to Earth, like those four issues all together are like the most important things. If you're gonna read any tie-ins for Blackest Night, you should read those four. So moving on with this, we get some great moments like seeing our different characters utilizing these rings. Um,
Barry and Saint Walker are able to separate Jason from Deathstorm. Uh,
mhm. And they
Mira is haunted with the zombie, her zombie husband and zombie
and
baby.
which is a whole fucking moment. My God. First off, the way Doug Mank draws that second panel there of Arthur holding his dead child, like, what the fuck? To which Mara replies, infected with Red Lantern rage, of course. I never wanted children, and she burns that baby alive, or I guess not alive, with the red fire blood from her mouth. And Atrocitus is impressed, as he should be. Yeah, great moment.
We have Carol and Diana trying to save Donald, who is you know now a Black Lantern. Uh, Indigo One and Ray suddenly being able to speak the language of the Indigo tribe. So they're doing a thing. I kind of wish there was a translation in points of a tribe's language.
Again,
Honestly,
I'm so mad. It's another one of those things. The whole knock thing is something that's explained in that amazing New 52 story. But again,
it's
we'll get
explained
there.
later.
I'll explain later. Yeah.
We get Scarecrow, Yellow Lantern.
We get Lex and Larfleeze fighting over the orange power. I love just psychotic Lex, like being
And
unable to be regular, suave, well-spoken Lex. It's great.
Johns
Um,
remembers, oh, I set up that the Spectre wants Hal Jordan.
yep, I'm sure he was somewhere
So
else in tie-ins. But
yes,
yeah, so yeah, Spectre is after Hal, and Hal begins to become infected by the Black Lantern rings, and as all this is happening, Hal is able to eventually break out from that, but Sinestro and Hal begin like devising a plan as Scarecrow still is unleashing hell, and it looks so cool. I love the way Mank draws all that. Um, but yeah, we get some more action of the again other DC heroes using their rings. Looks great. But then how is this where we come up with the plan? We come up with the plan here. Yes, there we go. Okay. The whole parallax thing where the way to fight off Spectre is kind of the way we fought Spectre last time, because we broke free of Spectre last time is because of Parallax. And so our genius idea here is unleash fucking Parallax. And so we unleash Parallax. And yeah, Hal uses him to fight off the Spectre. But now, of course, we have the problem
gives
of
Carol one last kiss before taking in Parallax, and yeah,
and
Parallax
we
is
get
here.
and we get full evil 90s Hal Jordan Parallax. Looks gorgeous and evil and 90s.
So
Bringing us
many teeth.
into
So many teeth.
yep.
Bring us
And
into
then
Green Lantern number 51.
yeah,
Uh,
Parallax
Parallax
Rebirth Part
Earth
2.
Part 2.
Yeah. Um, Opening up on Black Hand here again. I just having these little like Black Hand and Necron moments. Again in the tie-ins, just I think really helps to expand on the main story. I know I've said that
Yeah,
a lot already. Like it's really nice to have here. And I like the way that we're reading this for this coverage of the story. So we get some more fun Lex Larfleeze banter. Really fun.
mainly because Lex is starting to lose himself to the power, which is interesting. I think it's more an interesting comment on how the way the Orange Lantern power works. Uh,
Mhm.
Kind of implying that it implies that Larfleeze is somehow the best outcome to have this power, in a
I
way,
mean, probably.
which is saying a
Yeah.
lot because Larfleeze not a good outcome, um, terrible
I mean,
outcome.
it's been proven a great many times that like Lex is a genius and all that. Cannot handle like actual insane cosmic power beyond his understanding.
Well, yeah, I mean, because that's basically where his jealousy from Superman comes from, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's I don't want to say too much because it's a run I totally want us to cover on the podcast someday. There's a particular plotline involving Lex Luthor and Martians that Scott Snyder wrote
wait,
in
what?
his Justice League run. I mm, should I show
Okay,
you Should I show you Martian Lex Luthor? I think I'll show you Martian Lex Luthor after we're done recording.
okay.
It's something else. It's great. Anyway, so Parallax slash Hal are fighting off the Spectre now. And again, get some great more action pieces of the other lanterns using their rings throughout this. Hal slash Parallax they're able to beat Spectre eventually, and Parallax still being happy to exist, having freed the black power, the death energy power thing. Spectre's no longer a Black Lantern, is the point. And yeah, Parallax is still a problem. Oh, that's right. I forgot about this bit. Parallax rips off Spectre's face, which again
Yeah.
is so fucking graphic for this time period. Like, it was just like general comics. Like, that's insane. I love that.
I mean, this entire thing goes hard. Um, it becomes a lot. It becomes the issue is we opened a can of worms. Now we need to close that can back up by
Yep.
any means necessary.
Because then Spectre becomes a Red Lantern for a moment, and then he's not, and then Hal is able to separate Parallax from him again, and
Because of Carol. All
yep,
because of Carol.
yep. And then Sinestro tries to, for a moment, take Parallax for himself, but Parallax dissipates, and he leaves. And then we get let's see. Oh, yeah, and then we get a moment actually where we just kind of like get a little tease for like Hector Hammond at the bottom here,
Yeah.
where he's like aware of Parallax being free and like out there now. I genuinely forget where that comes up again.
It could also be dropped because of New 52 stuff happening.
Maybe that's possible, but again, it's John's lantern. Like he kind of like did everything in his New 52 stuff. I forget where that comes up again. I don't know. Listen, I'm probably just misremembering.
And then also end the issue on the Spectre trying to take out Necron.
Being unable to do that, and Necron still being all powerful, and also having Gambit now, and that brings us into Blackest Night number 7. Oh man, we're almost at the end now. Whew, this is over 2.5 hours already.
Yes,
which is actually somehow less than I thought this would have been so far.
I was curious to see if we would crack. This would be another episode that cracks 3.
It's still very possible. It could very much happen still. Anyway, so picking up where we left off. Every lantern against Necron, trying at least. We get some. It's mostly just an action bit here to start with, but let's see. Trying to find where the plot moves forward. Then, oh, that's right. Okay, so yeah, after a fair few pages of fighting, and John still
some great dialogue. Like this is where Necron and Black Hand both kind of get to be monologue-y villains. Which Necron especially hadn't really had up to this point because he had risen and he had some great little individual moments, but they hadn't been particularly big.
Mm-hmm.
But they're there. Lex begins to want all of the rings for himself.
Mm-hmm. And John still has all these other. Oh yeah, that is one thing actually that kind of sucks about like including the Titans. There is that we do kind of forget the whole John has all these other Black Lanterns on his tail. In the meantime, what are you gonna do about that? Anyway,
well, that's because we have an explosion of the. It's basically building to this explosion of the emotional spectrum. It's like warning: emotional spectrum detonation imminent, and then the actual cavalry comes up with a charge being led by
Guy Gardner,
Hell Rainer, and Kilowog,
yep,
and a bunch of other lanterns of all colors.
Yep, except for Orange, of course.
Except for Orange for obvious reasons.
Obvious reasons. And my
I
baby
don't know if I see more of the Indigo
my baby
Tribe,
Bleeze
but
is there. What's up?
I don't know if I see. Oh no, I do see the Indigo Tribe. It's a very
Yeah.
large 2-page spread with a lot of characters, so it's kind of and it seems that the Indigo Tribe sadly gets put on where the Omni creases.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. Yeah,
which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But great art.
The cavalry joins the fight.
I will say at this point, I was once again. I hate that it keeps happening. I was cheering for Guy Gardner.
As you should. I love. Again, I wish I could remember every single comic we covered where Guy Gardner has shown up, because like I want to like just make a playlist of the Jacob Learns to Love Guy Gardner chronicles.
It starts with like, oh god, he's such an asshole. He's terrible.
I know the first one is definitely Death of Superman, but
the first one is Death of Superman.
Yeah, but I can't remember like every single appearance after that. It's awesome though. Cheer for Guy Gardner all you want because he's awesome. We get some great pages of all these lanterns trying to fight off the Black Lanterns.
We get some exposition about sort of the ideas that some of the ideas that Johns has been hinting at throughout the event and through a lot of his run is that each Lantern Corps has its own like creature inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one in this Black Lantern creature that's rising, quite literally being white light. And this is a blinding white light. The whole idea is there's this idea that life began on Earth, and all of this was hidden. Keep this thing protected. This thing is called the Entity. Uh, you know, and another terrible Guardian plot.
Mm-hmm. Because
And
evil fuckers.
and then Sinestro, again foreshadowed by showing several different um, emotions of Sinestro,
Mm-hmm.
decides to take the power for himself so he
And
could be the greatest lantern of them all.
and he does it. He's able to take it. He becomes the first ever White Lantern.
Yes. And in some ways it's kind of a shame about how comics are, that soap opera. All stories always continually are ending because this could be a great ending for Sinestro. Like,
Okay, well, okay. I'll say Sinestro's arc obviously continues after this. The way Johns ends his character is unbelievably perfect, and when you see how he does it eventually by the end of his run, you're going to be so mad that Sinestro can just continue to exist after that because it's so good.
I already think this would be a fitting end of
But it
redemption
gets.
for the
Would you
character.
believe me if I said it gets better though? Like it gets
I
even better.
I could be a little skeptical, but we'll see in the future.
Yeah.
Um,
Green
this
Lantern
is Green
52.
Lantern
Green Lantern
52.
52. Huh? Huh? Important issue of Green Lantern. Green Lantern 52. Huh? Get it? Anyway. So,
It comes after 51. Like this.
it's significant, damn it. Imagine it's significant. I don't know. Anyway, so this is
I think
getting.
people overblow the significance of the number 52 in the DC universe
I think
or
I think
multiverse.
I think you're wrong. I think the number 52 ties everything. You ever notice how there are 52 cards in a deck of cards? Crazy, huh?
That's just how that works. It's how a deck of cards is constructed.
Or is it a conspiracy made up by Dan DiDio?
No.
I think it is.
I don't think Dan DiDio is
Dan
intelligent
DiDio
enough to
invented the number 52.
I don't think he did.
I think you're wrong. Anyway, let's do some actually important character work for Sinestro in a tie-in comic. Like fucking Johns. Only fucking Johns can do
In the
this. Anyway,
last tie-in comic, mind
yeah.
you. Like,
So yeah, let's do this. So we get some more another bit on John here. John bringing his kind of cavalry in here. But yeah, let's catch up with Sinestro because Sinestro is decked out in white and saying this is his destiny. And like,
I love this monologue of him just experiencing life. I'm kind of surprised John's is able to pull off this idea of the power of all life, and how life is everywhere, uh, and how everything finds a way. Uh,
could one say life finds a way?
yes, yes.
Could one say
This
it potentially in the awkward cadence of Jeff Goldblum?
Yes, that is what I was referencing. Um,
um,
Also, it's the explanation of Ion and all of the creatures that are born in the emotional spectrum. Also tying it into the biblical story of Adam and Eve, uh, as well, which is interesting. Um, interesting to make it sort of religious in that way. But it all
mhm.
culminates in this great two-page spread of We Live, as
Yep.
Sinestro can harness all of these creatures' power.
Oh, it's so
Uh,
good. Look at that. Oh, it's so good. And yeah,
then he's promptly stabbed.
promptly stabbed by Necron, and it's It's not looking good. And also, again, I found myself forgetting this was a tie-in as I was rereading this issue, like, because again, super important event. Like, how is this not part of the main story? It's kind of crazy.
Well, because ultimately, here's the thing: Jeff Johns does a trick here. Is that he's telling a story, but he's wrapping it back around at the beginning of the issue. So
Yeah.
you technically don't need it.
But again, you're missing so much if you're not reading it. I think, like,
You're missing a lot of world building, specifically, and some amazing fucking character beats. But
yeah.
again, it's a weird trick that Johns is pulling, and it almost fully works. Uh, but yes, we see the chaos in Coast City uh, as the cavalry have arrived, uh, and our lanterns are basically heading to the heart of, I think it's Sangshi, um, where we find sort of our nightmare um, of this planet building up to the point where basically John and his team explode the planet
hmm
and break the connection.
And
So
so, Sinestro, as he says, "I am now the true guardian of the universe," bringing us into the final issue of today, Blackest Night number 8. Again, super important thing just happened in a tie-in, but again, still totally works as its own thing here. Going into the final issue, and yeah, it's Sinestro versus Necron. It's a great culmination of this arc, not just of this individual story, but I think of Sinestro's entire character arc in the John's run up to
yeah,
this point.
uh,
It's awesome. It's really really awesome. Um, yeah, so Sinestro rips out Necron's heart, um, and as the other lanterns converge over here, we have Sinestro and not Sinestro, Lex and Larfleeze still fighting in the middle of it all. Um, uh, Hal and the others have to fight off some more Black Lanterns, and also we get a little moment here with Hal's family, like
also,
his
yeah,
brother
his brother,
and
yeah.
his family, like it's a small moment, but damn, it's effective. It's literally just 2 panels.
It's one of the few things that I actually noted in my notes. Like, it's this tiny moment that Johns understands that we need the non superhero supporting cast, even if it's very brief.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It's a really tiny moment, but it's all the better for it. Yeah, it's really good.
yeah, the backup is
Um,
here, and we get this gorgeous two-page
oh,
spread.
it's so good. Everyone's here. My God, Ivan Reese, it like just has such a knack for these giant spreads of characters. Really, really good. Some George Perez shit right there. Um,
Dead Man takes over Guy briefly. Um,
mhm. Which is like the best pairing ever. But yeah, he takes over a guy um and then guy is able to break free. Everyone's fighting against Necron. Sinestro has the white light stripped away from him, and as all this sort of like culminates on Necron, the connection gets
instead of the white light being stripped just from Sinestro, it is then shared with everybody, so everybody becomes interconnected, and we
the connection
have
the connection is overridden, and Hal says if anyone's part of the White Lantern Corps, it's us. And so we bring back all the Black Lanterns, literally every single one, at least the superhero ones that we see here, um, that
yeah,
that were
our
taken
White
away.
Lanterns are on this two-page spread. Obviously, Hal, Clark, Connor, Diana, Barry, Oliver, fucking Animal Man,
Animal
uh,
Man, yes.
Art, Donna, and I think it's Ice. That's Ice.
Ice,
Yes,
yeah, yep.
as among others, because again, and it's this great idea. I love the idea is we chose to live again. It's this choice to keep on moving to get back up,
hmm
and that life keeps that the purpose of life is to live it.
Yeah.
Again, almost existentialist in a way.
hmm It's
In
so
a way
good.
that I particularly love. Yeah, and again, then we get just the big sequence of certain villains living again, including the Anti Monitor.
Yep, which is kind of a big deal because he was kind of the one that was tied into the Black Lantern, and that sort of like tears the Black Lantern apart.
We have a lot of heroes starting to live again.
Mhm. And as all these other lanterns are brought back, first off, also
Dead Man.
Dead Man. Well, Dead Man. Well, we have all these different names called out. We have Amon Tomas, Jenny Lynn Hayden, Digger Harkness, Hank Hall, Maxwell Lord, Eobard Thawne, Ronnie Raymond, Kendra Saunders, Carter Hall, John Jones, Arthur Curry, Boston Brand of Earth, live, and it is probably it's a 4-page spread. It is.
Yeah, this is a 4-page spread that I imagine was a fold out. Like
It was, yeah. It is one of the greatest things Ivan Reis has ever drawn.
it is
It's
a
so
great
good.
spread. It is even a fantastic spread, even when it's because it's not a fold out in the Omni, sadly.
Yeah,
Um,
it should have been. If they can keep the fold out in All Star Batman and Robin, then they could have kept the fold out here. Um, that's like a 7-page fold out, I think, in All Star. It's crazy. It's a big Batcave spread. It's one of Jim Lee's best. Anyway,
it's stuck in that book.
yeah, yeah. But this is so. I guess not a spoiler really, because I think you own the Brightest Day Omni, right?
Yeah.
This is the main cast of Brightest Day. It's literally like, what do these guys do after they have all been brought back? And it's a really cool thing to explore. We'll talk about that when we get back to this run eventually.
Yes.
Um,
We also now we have, but we have to deal with Mira's rage being compromised.
mhm.
So she goes into cardiac arrest, and uh,
And
Carol is the one
Carol's
to
able,
help bring her back.
yep.
Um,
So
but there's
again,
this great moment of Mira waking up. Arthur, are we dead? No, and they hug, and it is
it's such a
gorgeous.
good moment. Oh my god.
This ending just fills you with the warm fuzzies, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's alive and
Kendra
happy
and
and
Carter see each other again. That's beautiful. I love the moment when Clark sees Jean Jones again. He's like, Jean, you're alive. And then Jean just says, it appears so, with his big smile on his face. It's so good. Yeah, just really, really lovely. Yeah, I love it. It's impossible to hate this moment. It's so good. I know we can complain all day about comic book character deaths and resurrections and how it's just a never ending cycle, but like, this is so good. It is truly one of the best. Yeah, I don't think it's ever really been done better. I love it. Oh man, we had a funny little moment between Captain Boomerang and Flash. That's great.
we also have the character of Cyrus, who is the Black Adam lookalike, who I hope he gets
it,
explained in the Brightest Day.
yeah, he very much. Oh, so it's in a Brightest Day tie-in.
God damn it!
Yeah, sorry, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, and then
Um,
the most hard-hitting one easily is Boston Brand, who is just alive again. Like,
and he
for
is
real.
terrified of that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh man. Again, Boston Brand's story in Brightest Day, just it's beautiful. Um,
the Guardians are going to discuss the future of all the cores, including talking with the Indigo Tribe and a
yep.
bunch of things. All things that are going to be later.
I totally forgot
Later.
this Black Hand moment. Should just have a giant sticker on it that says "To be continued in the New 52," because that's how long you got to wait for that. Yeah, that's something.
And we kind of actually properly end where we began. Uh, at
With
the
Barry and Hal in front of the grave of Bruce Wayne and Thomas and Martha, of course.
and of course,
Um,
it turns out first off, Tim Drake was right. Bruce is alive.
yep. Batman, Black Lantern, Batman didn't recognize any of them, so it wasn't Bruce. And yeah, and then as we close out, we get a look at this crater that was made by a White Lantern, and that is where the story ends. And it's obviously leading to Brightest Day, but just that's really the end of it there. And despite the fact that the
Very
Omni, of course,
briefly,
yeah, the Omni,
very
of
briefly
course,
for Tales of the
also
Core. Tales of the Core is solid. It's one
the
of those
Saint
issues
Walker
where
story is the Saint Walker story is crushing and beautiful, and I love it.
the St. Walker story is the thing that is elevating the rest of
I think the Blees one is quite good too.
Yeah, it's the problem of there's one standout, one big standout. So the
The
rest,
Blees one is good. You're wrong. Um,
yeah, but
but
Saint Walker one is just it blows everything else out of the water. Is what I'm trying to
I
get at here.
yeah, I guess.
But yeah,
But yeah, and then there's also the Omni also includes a Blackest Night deleted scene at the end, which is kind of cool.
yes.
Um,
Also, director's commentary.
yeah, which is
Um,
I always love those. Those are always nice to
yes.
have. And
Again, the Omni,
that's it.
the Omni is the best way to collect John's Green Lantern run.
Unless you're looking for some Brightest Day stuff, because that's they
Its
don't.
own separate Omni.
Yep, which is a choice. But yeah, that was Blackest Night.
It
Jacob,
was a lot.
yeah, overall thoughts.
Yeah, it's but honestly, it's the highlight of the John's Lantern run. Like,
Cool.
I don't know if Johns can top this. I'd like to see him try, but I'll also settle for any as long as this doesn't go the way his Aquaman run ended. Will be good.
Yeah, because I'll say like it doesn't. First off, like it's yeah, the end of his Lantern run is so much better. Um, it's an ending that you can tell Johns had planned for a while. Because while Blackest Night is the culmination of the run up to this point, it was not planned as the end. Johns had something else in mind. I think if we're talking the next couple big arcs that he does, Brightest Day is kind of its own thing. The Lantern Titans are really cool, but it's entirely its own thing, really. War of the Green Lanterns is cool, but not very much the ending that the run deserves, which is why it continues into the New 52 then, with 3 trades called Sinestro, Revenge of Black Hand, and The End. Um, I think I love those 3 trades especially. I cherished those 3 when I first got them, and um, yeah, they're really something special. I think those New 52 issues especially. So
Yes.
yeah,
It's really good. Again, this is the first thing by Jeff Johns that I would give a 10 out of 10. Core War came close. Uh,
I mean,
Blackest Night.
I was gonna say you also really like Rage of the Red Lanterns and Agent Orange.
Yeah, there were a couple of things in there though that I'm like, yeah, it doesn't quite work as well in places. Um, yeah, I think this is just this is again also probably just the best thing from Jeff Johns that we've read. Um,
Mm-hmm.
when there's a reason. There's a reason it's regarded so highly.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
reason that people like it.
yeah. And I'm glad you're able to like enjoy that. Like I don't know. I'm actually curious. Did you like take like any steps to like sort of separate yourself from the hype behind this story, or did you just kind of like go and like just fully aware of its reputation, or what's up?
Oh, this is one of the ones that I was aware of the reputation.
But I guess I'm like wondering, like, did you like try to ignore that, like try to separate yourself from that, or were you like, oh, this has like some shoes to fill because people always talk about how great it is?
Not really. It's the hard part about doing Jeff Johns because a lot of here's the thing: if you go into something that is action focused with hype, oftentimes if that action is good action, the hype's just going to sweep you away in it. This is
That's
what this
fair.
kind of does. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think I could. I mean, it certainly helps that genuinely loved 99% of Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run before this.
Mhm.
Uh, bar
Wanted how Jordan exists.
bar that.
I don't know what that stumbling block is. That is insane. Like, and it's just the one story in that trade. Like the Star Sapphire one's good, but like just wanted how Jordan is baffling.
It's it is quite four issues. It is quite
4 issues.
literally 4 issues that make no sense.
Yeah. Well, it's because it did that whole the 1 year, or was it 1 year later? I think.
Yeah,
Or maybe
maybe that's why because it was just trying. Johns had then written Infinite Crisis. It would have been Infinite Crisis at the time, and they
hmm
were doing 1 year later. So it was like I need a story to try to like do a new status quo thing
hmm
before I can really
And
continue
also,
my
Eben
run.
Sur has a son. It's like, I don't know, man. That story is insane. But anyway, I'm so glad you enjoyed the Jeff Johns Green Lantern run up to this point.
Yes,
We have plenty more to do, obviously. But
but
hey,
not next time. Next time we're doing something different.
Yeah, well, next time we're doing something different. We'll get back to Green Lantern eventually, but I guess what are your guesses? What do you think we're doing next time?
Um, so I have two guesses based specifically on sort of what this block has been, because it's been a
Okay.
lot of continuations.
Hmm.
So I think we're either going to continue, since one of the big runs that we've started that we haven't continued is The Flash by uh, Manipul and Bucalato,
Hmm.
or possibly Justice League by John. Like those are my two guesses.
Okay. I'll say I'm about to reveal it. I'm going to tell you what it is, and also I'm going to throw a little twist at you. Not only am I going to tell you what our next two episodes are, but I'm going to let you choose how we are going to cover it.
Okay, okay, what?
So
Um,
I'll say one of your guesses was right. We are in fact doing Justice League by Jeff Johns next time. We're continuing
okay.
that. So there's a bit of a trick with this. So we're going to do 3 trades across the next 2 episodes. The thing is, after Trinity War, there was a 7-part event comic called Forever Evil, which is part of that run technically. It's essential to kind of reading the rest of that Justice League run at the very least.
Okay.
The trouble is the two, and I'm having you choose this because I truly cannot choose how I personally want to have us cover it. So Forever Evil is definitely going to be in the next episode. However, the following 2 Justice League trades after that, volumes 5 and 6, are called Forever Heroes and Injustice League. Forever Heroes includes tie-in issues to Forever Evil. However, I would say you could read Forever Evil on its own, and then the following episode we could do the 2 following Justice League trades one in just kind of in a row. However, the other way we could do it is kind of how we covered Blackest Night, just in trade form. Is you could get both Forever Evil and the Forever Heroes trade and read them kind of staggered with the tie-ins where they need to be, and it will enhance the Forever Evil experience. Um, but it's a matter of if that is a personally appealing idea to you. Um, so I want to know what we should do.
How many issues are the tie-ins?
Let's see. Okay. Oh, I should have had the list up ahead of time. Okay. So Forever Evil is 7 issues on its own. Um, then the tie-ins I think are only 6, so it'd be 13 altogether next time. And then Injustice League is where is it? Why is it so hard to find how many issues Injustice League is? Injustice League on its own as a trade is, I think, 11 issues. Is that right? I think that's right. Yeah.
Then you know what? Largely for the sake of making it 2 fairly even episodes instead of trying to do. Actually, that would make it 2 fairly even episodes, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Totally.
We'll do the tie-ins to Forever Evil with Forever Evil.
Sounds good.
Um,
Sounds good. All right, yeah, let's do that then. So yeah, so next time, episode 69 of Fresh Faced
nice.
Comics. We're gonna do some Jeff Johns. I don't know what that says about us. Do you like Jeff Johns event comics? How's 2 in a row? Forever Evil and Forever Heroes. All together, I'm gonna get you a reading order, and I'll send that off to you. And yeah, we'll do that. So yeah, it'll be Forever Evil 1 through 7 and Justice League 24 through 29. And that'll be that. And episode 70 will be 30 through 30 through 39. So sorry, it's actually 10 issues.
Yeah.
For that.
So it's nice to not have to be doing episode 70 being like 20 issues.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that would have been 16 issues, episode 70. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's break it up. Let's
Yeah.
break it
So,
up for my
all right,
sanity.
cool. Yeah. All right. So then, sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you for making that decision for me. I called it a twist. Really, it was just because I'm really bad at making decisions like that. Anyway, so yeah, be sure to join us for that. that I'm sure that'll be a fun episode. So yeah, check all that out. Otherwise, check out other things that we do on the channel. We have Fresh Face One Shots, where we cover current comics coming out. We're talking about Superman by Joshua Williamson, which currently has a crossover event called House of Brainiac. It's been super fun.
We've just done part 3 of that in Action Comics 1065.
Yep. We've also been doing Wonder Woman by Tom King and Batman the Brave and the Bold by Various. And then we might have some other things coming up in the summer. So check those things out.
Check this out.
Yeah. Jacob, what else do you have going on?
Once again, well, first off, my YouTube channel is briefly doing a return because Joey and I are both massive Doctor Who fans. I am doing some covering of thoughts of the new series of Doctor Who.
Did you just call me a massive Doctor Who fan?
You are, despite everything.
I mean, you're right, but fuck off.
Sure, you've read the VNAs. You can't argue your way out of this. I've been doing some discussions about the new episodes as they air. At the point of recording this episode, at the point of release of this episode, it'll have been a return of Stephen Moffat in the episode Boom, which I know I'm going to have thoughts on. I don't know if they'll be good or bad. There will be thoughts because it's Moffat.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. My blog, as always, I am writing a lot of book reviews, as well as reviewing Star Trek for the first time, having moved into the animated series.
Great transition. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
We'll have just done Yesteryear at the time.
Yesteryear is great. So check those out on his blog, and then also on the channel. Me and my brother have been covering the same things. We've been doing them sort of in tandem. And also, if you want videos early and everything, you can check out me and my brother's Patreon. That's up there, so you can check that out if that's something you're interested in. Also, R2BD is coming back later this month. We are talking about Bad Batch Season 3. What else do we cover? Dark Force Rising and comic book Vader Down. So check all that out. And also Breaking Brian. It exists. It has one episode left to release, which is coming eventually, and we will find out the exact date of that at some point in the future. So I don't know. It's coming out eventually. I think that about does it. Otherwise, be sure to leave a rating, subscribe, wherever you're listening to us. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Blood Donut Studios. That's there as well. And I think that about does it. So yeah, thank you all so much for listening. Until next time, this has been Joey Morgan,
Jacob Licklider.
Goodbye.